Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be looking at three important questions leading to elections 2023. Number one question: has President Weah done enough to win re-election, or has he done so poorly that he will lose in 2023? That's question number one. Question number two: if President Weah is to win, will it be because of bad opposition or good governance, or President Weah has governed so well? Holding those two constant, which of the opposition leaders has done enough to win the hearts of voters so that person can beat President Weah come 2023? Those are the three questions in Friday night debate. I have from the Gongloe team. He is the strategic media committee chair, Mr. Gibson W. Jeru. Mr. Jeru, welcome to Friday night debate on Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here again, and I'm ready to go.
Thank you so much. Also, let me welcome from the CDC. This is Prince Sharif. He is from the Weah team, CDC, and he calls himself Weah-barian. Weah-barian, welcome to Focus on Liberia Friday night debate.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us the opportunity as always. And let me say good afternoon, good morning, good evening. And in the common Liberian way, I want to say my people who are joining us from, across the globe. I want to say my people, your hello. And to my fellow panelists, I also want to say hi to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Also representing CDC, coming from the CDC headquarters under the Sycamore tree is Mr. Blowjay Nation Choppy Charlie. Choppy, welcome to Friday night debate.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you. I have also joining me the independent-minded P. Morris Kroma, his friends call him corporate manager. Morris, welcome to Friday night debate.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. It's good to see my man Chappie. I haven't seen him for a while. It's good to be here. I'm really excited about the next conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also joining us from Canada is Mr. Leo Napolo Johnson. He's the host of the Liberian Dream right here on Focus on Liberia. Mr. Johnson, welcome to Friday night debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai, and it's good to see the other panelists here tonight as well. I wish we had one feisty or one female with us, but unfortunately, we will deal with what we have. But it's good to be on, and I look forward to the show.
Thank you. Our people say if you don't have a she-dog, a he-dog for hunting, you use a she-dog. So we're going to make do with what we have. Morris are still on with the old people. So, as we go into 2023 elections, questions are all over the place, right? People, as we go into election, people are running campaign, and some of the questions are: has President Weah done enough to win re-election? Or, things are very bad that he's going to lose. So we have people from different parties, and then our independent folks are also here. J. Randy Dapo, he calls himself the independent Liberian supporter, is on his way, is joining us shortly. So let me start with Mr. Prince Sharif. And gentlemen, anytime you have the microphone to talk, you have not more than 2 minutes. Please, let's observe the time so we can cover enough ground here. So let's start with Mr. Prince Sharif. Mr. Sharif, the question is, has President Weah done enough to win re-election, or has he done so poorly that he's going to lose 2023?
Thank you again. And let me welcome our Director of Communication and Strategist, Choppy Charlie. You are welcome, sir.
Yeah, good seeing you, man. Good.
Yeah, thank you. Relative to the question just asked, President Weah have done more than enough to win the confidence and the vote of the Liberian people. And we are speaking from the records. As you may be aware, this government came into place in 2017, we made the argument to the Liberian people. We put an agenda before the Liberian people in the PAPD. And we told the Liberian people that when we are elected, or when you give us that authority to lead you, to serve you, we will bear your roles. We told them, when you gave us the opportunity, we will build your hospital. That was just promises that was made to the Liberian people. And based on the promises that was made, the people saw the truth in those promises. They saw how factual those promises were. And then the CDC was given the mantle of authority in 2017. So in 2017, we were elected based on promises, based on what we have as our agenda. When we took over in 2017, we immediately kicked the ball rolling by implementation of those agendas that we promised the Liberian people. For example, in education, we told them that we were going to work along with the Liberian people to create an environment where every Liberian will be able to experience education at its best based on the resources that we have. When this government took over, without wasting no time, we provided an opportunity to Liberians who have been marginalized from education from the days of Joseph Jenkins Roberts by providing a tuition-free university and colleges. We did not only stop there, but we went straight to the road. We hit the ground rolling by putting up roads, areas that we had no road. For example, I live in Doe community. I have areas there. Doe community was a place that was deserted, even though it was right in Maserado. You can walk from Doe community to go Central Monrovia more than 25 times before 24 hours elapsed. But that place was almost like impossible to go. But we're able to implement.
So basically, you're saying he's done enough.
Yes, President Weah have done enough, and he will be re-elected on the basis of what he has done and continue to do for the Liberian people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me go to Mr. Gibson Jeru. Mr. Jeru, has President Weah done enough to win re-election?
You know, first of all, I continue to hear that President Weah has constructed more roads, and therefore he earned the right to become president for the second term. And he just added education. Education is a dismal argument because some of the educational institutions, government educational institutions that the government is supposed to support financially, these educational institutions are even charging money today more than, I can give one example of Grand Junior Community College, for example. Instead of the government free education that's supposed to affect everywhere, I can tell you more easily that Grand Junior Community College is charging more than $75, or at least about $75 for per course or per credit. So this is not what we call free education. This is not what hammering education. This is a dismal argument. But governance is not a one even thing. So let's assume that George Weah succeeded in building 10 roads or 5 roads or 20 roads. It does not equate to someone being qualified to be elected for the second time. Our country is multifaceted. Our country has multiple problems. So if somebody comes, in fact, the roads we are talking about, these are United Nations, World Bank, African Development Bank sponsored roads. If George Weah leaves right now, anybody who becomes president will still inherit those funding. So it's not because George Weah is president and those roads are being funded by the international community, IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank. These people are funding the United Nations Development Association program. They are funding this program not because of George Weah administration. They were funding this same program during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. So if George Weah leaves today, it's not because he leaves so that project stops. And he cannot take credit for it because it is not the taxes raised by the government of Liberia that he turned into a project that benefited people.
So basically, President Weah has not done enough. Just conclude.
He has not done enough. He has done so dismally. He has in fact betrayed the trust that it was placed in him He betrayed the confidence of the Liberian people. He made the Liberian people to wonder whether they can elect anybody of his caliber in the future, because he had dampened the hope of Liberian people.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Choppy Charlie, also from the CDC. The question remains the same. Choppy, you have 2 minutes.
Well, it's humorous listening to the critique of the government, and I'm hearing the viewpoint that the community rules in Liberia was sponsored by international partner World Bank. That's misinformation, false. No community roads projects were funded by international partners. It is these superhighways that international partners have funded. So anybody making such an assertion is not rooted in reality. The fact is, the government performance is very clear, and there are several instances. I will not go back to what my colleague Prince has said, but let's look at the budget performance. Today, we're getting more revenues than the past government. It shows the government ability to raise domestic mobilization. And the fact that we are getting more money domestically shows a level of accountability. These are the critical issues of government. And then, so that's one aspect. So it means that government is raising more money and delivering more results. There are many other projects that the government itself has sponsored, housing units, hospitals. These are not international partner money. These are money from Liberian people, their own money working for them. Let us look at the area of one of the most critical things in the country that we have had a problem with for more than 75 years, the rest question. When this government took over in 2016, and there are research studies by the UC, the Swedish government, and other international partners available as of 2017 that shows that the rice was around $16. This government reduced the price of rice to $13 and stabilized the price since that time until quite recently when we had a problem with the rice. And one of the reasons why we're having this problem is the government is down focused. The government is focusing on food sufficiency. We're going to continue to be dependent on importation rice. So obviously, when the government try to switch that type of strategy, there will be a little tension in terms of chaos in the rice market. But Liberians need to understand this. We cannot continue to be dependent on imported rice. We need to grow our own food. We need to feed ourselves and do many other things. So there are a lot of achievements this government has done.
So based on that, he deserves a second term.
Very well. Very well. Very well.
We want to welcome J. Randy Dapo. J. Randy, the question, welcome to the show. You're late, so we're not going to go back. The question here is, has President Weah done enough to win re-election, or did he do so bad that he's going to lose 2023? Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing? This is J. Randy here, and thank you guys. Let me apologize. This is Friday, and things are happy on Friday. We don't discuss it on Monday. But I was a little bit caught up with stuff, so let me apologize to the panelists here. But let me just get into the reality here. Before I do that, as you can see, J. Randy, independent supporter for a better Liberia. So I don't take side with any political party anymore. Been in the business since 2010 to present. That is going on to 12 years. From what I see so far in regards to President Weah, the Afrobarometer, all right, Afrobarometer is a conglomeration of European, American, and I believe some Asian that have this data sampling they do in Liberia, and they actually go through all the 15 counties from major village to another major village and take statistics. Since 2018, Mr. Weah has been in a 56% lead. And the key thing that people are concerned about is land reform and infrastructure. And looking at that statistics, 78% of our population do not listen to Facebook, social media, and other online media which we get our information to. And these people believe that Mr. Weah is in a better position. And this is something that I have brought across all other opposition, but I think some of the opposition feel that because the information don't come from them, so they feel that it's irrelevant. But if they continue to be on that trajectory of not accepting research from other people, they're going to be looking at another history again. With that being said, President Weah 56% is giving him an opportunity and edge in what to do. The only challenge I see Mr. Weah has is his minister poor performance. Some of the ministers are doing extremely well. For example, Emma Glasgow, who are introduced the blue economy to give fisheries or the fishery industry in the country an independent sense of working for their own money. There are a few who are doing extremely well, but I believe that what the president is doing today, and this is my own independent observation, nobody gave me 5 cents. I'm just being very royal because Liberian people, if you're up to them, everybody will go to hell. So I'm just trying to say this. Mr. Weah has done extremely well in terms of what he had promised to do. I campaigned for him. He focused on role, and he's doing extremely well with role. And the international community continue to work along with him. So I think with the 56% rating he has, and with what he has done so far, and with the dismemberment of the CPP, and
we'll come to that. The question here: has President Weah done enough to win re-election?
Well, I can just say yes to that because as an engineer,
just conclude on that because you
yes,
have.
What I would say here is the 56% stability of a rating since 2018 up to present by Afrobarometer, and with what he had done so far with the infrastructure, I think until that number can be reduced either to 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, he still stands a chance of winning. Can the opposition try? Of course they can.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Let me go to the independent-minded Maurice P. Kroma. Maurice, is the same question. This is Friday night debate. And the question is, has President Weah done enough to win re-election, or has he done so poorly to lose?
So I'll answer the question by emphatically stating no, he has not done enough. I don't think the president is going to get re-elected. And I'll give you several reasons. I think I've listened to, my brother Chappie, I listened to Prince and also Randy giving justifications for why they think Weah can get re-elected. It's true, the government has mobilized enough taxes across the country. But when you look at some of the things that has been on the negative side of the government since 2017, it seems like there are more negative things about what the government has done than positive. So we can talk about all the different things. We can talk about the $25 million from the central bank. We can talk about, the mysterious death of people. We can talk about the religious issue right now that is happening. There's so many things that we can talk about that demonstrate that the government is clearly incompetent. That's one aspect of it. But to address some of the things that I hear Randy talking about, Afrobarometer, Randy, every international data you gave me, I'll give you 5 additional data that can devalue your argument about we are getting 56%. But let's ignore that for 1 minute. If we take 56% as the baseline that you think Weah can get re-elected, Weah got elected 2017. DeLong came and won Maserado County by extra 120,000 votes. With the Afrobarometer you just quoted, does that mean that barometer is faulty? So we have to look at all of the data before we even jump into a conclusion that Weah can win an election only because of that. On the issue of the roles that I hear, Chappie and Prince talking about, yes, the government has some money on the road fund because there is a road fund. But even with the road fund, there are allegations of corruption inside this road fund that have been published and publicized all over the place. So when we begin to have this conversation about the possibility of Weah getting re-elected, talk to the ordinary people. There are issues that the bread and butter issues have not been addressed. If you ask the ordinary Liberian man, is your life better today than it was in 2017 when Weah got elected? That data will show you the contrary. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me go to another independent-minded, Leo Napulu Johnson. Mr. Johnson, the question is, has President Weah done enough to win a second term?
So I will preface my answer by saying I will look at it from 2 perspectives, primarily, and thanks to the other panelists for their points. Now, to be re-elected, I would say no, but does that mean he could not be re-elected? That's up for debate. Just because one may think that he's done enough or not, it does not necessarily mean that's how it would end. But let me give you 2 things. It baffles me most of the time when people are evaluating President Weah's performance based on everything except the thing he asked us to evaluate him on. President Weah made a firm commitment through a binding document, which is the PAPD. Some of us took the religious time to read through it meticulously because we wanted to be fair, that let's hold people accountable for the things that they have projected that they committed themselves to. The second thing I will use from my perspective will be all of the by-elections that have happened. Because we don't have a proper measurement indicator to go by, I will use that as an example. The CDC have almost lost every election since 2017. Almost every election the CDC has participated in, they have lost as a party. Now, one can argue that those were not presidential elections. That's fair. But we all know presidential elections are not magic balls. It's the combination of all of the other players, usually, that are out there in the field campaigning. The biggest example was the Maserado thing. CDC threw everything that they had and claimed Maserado as their stronghold, and twice came out empty-handed. Now, let me put it this way. When we look at what President Weah said, he said he will reduce absolute poverty by 23% across 5 of the 6 regions in Liberia. Nobody put this on President Weah. It was the government's own plan. Besides not meeting it, the government has not come up with any measurement indicator or metrics to tell us, say, hey, you know, here is where we are, here's why we are not where we said we would be, or here's where. So in my opinion, the gross failure to not even measure is already a sign, in my opinion, of neglect, of absolute neglect of your own plan that you put forth, right? Let's look at some of the numbers. 1 million Liberians out of poverty, right?
Yeah.
Who's measuring? So was it just a show to the Liberian people, or was the government intentional about looking at this? So if you ask me if President Weah will be reelected or not, that's for the Liberian people to decide at the end of the day at the ballot. But if we're going by the metrics on paper as it is, now, this is not to say President Weah has not done anything in the country. That would be false. For anybody to say, oh, the government did nothing at all. When people say that, I tell them that's a lie. There are things that the government has done. But it would be unfair for me to go be evaluating President Weah on everything else except the things primarily that he said was what was needed to take the country out of the dundrum that it was in.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Debate, and you have heard from the panelists on the big question: has President Weah done enough for a re-election, or so bad that he will lose? I want to give a little 5 minutes for counterpoints and you know, and come out and say something. Let me start with you, Mr. Dapo. You quoted the Afrobarometer. Do you know where it comes from and what it measures? Because this was done by it was founded by this Ghanaian called Professor Robert Mitz. So before you give us a statistics, just tell a little bit about it. What is it supposed to do, and why should we believe this, that it is, legit, and we can actually swallow it? And I like the statistic you give.
Yeah, I mean, many Liberians are not good at statistics. They just believe in what they hear and they want to look at that. I have followed that institution for a very long time, and even UC has been very involved with them, and they are even projected that by the year 2030, the workforce in Africa will be very huge, and by the year 2050, out of 5 people you will find 4 will be African. And they had done a lot of statistics in regards to the economic, political environment in Africa, and they are very trustworthy. And I believe in them because they are part of other organizations that are in the United States and in Europe. The reason I'm using that statistic is because it's very stable in the sense that if somebody can just put themselves on mute, at least the interference. So the statistic is very stable in itself, and it had never changed anything. And one thing that stood up, as far as I'm concerned, is the coverage area, the geographic coverage area. This election in Liberia is going to cover 3 things. One, they're going to look at the issue, they're going to look at the demographic, and going to look at the geographic. And they are covered that area, very, very, very well. The geographic and the demographic. Now, the brother came out and started swinging at me, saying that he has so many statistics. Not all statistics are created equal, and that's why I chose one, because I'm very resourceful in what I do. But I can tell you right now that the people of Liberia will definitely vote for George Weah for the fact that the opposition themselves are not even up to the task. You got some saying they're not going to vote for a particular district if they feel the district will not vote for them.
Yeah.
That's
we'll come to the opposition.
I know. I'm just trying to stress my point here. So if you don't mind giving me the opportunity here, all right? Because you are asking me now, what make us feel that George Weah can win this election?
I was asking the statistic, and you give that. So
okay, so
let's move on.
All right.
Dennis, can I say
okay, Morris, you have a.
Yeah,
I want to give each of you 1 minute.
So if we're going to make it a two-man show when he comes.
No. Hold on.
I have to come after him
Let's
too.
allow the moderator to moderate.
Hold on, Remy.
You are disturbing the man thought. You're wasting man time.
Morris, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying that tit for tat. It will make it.
You're still wasting time. You're still wasting time.
Okay.
I mean, if you give me a chance to say what I want to say, hopefully, we can have some kind of dialogue. But I don't want you to see what I said as an attack on you. I was just saying that, don't everybody that on this platform, we don't know what each other's background is. So it's good for us to just allow everybody to say what their thoughts are. And if you want to challenge it, that's fine. I mean, you can challenge what I say, that's fine. But I don't want you to see as an attack because this platform
I did not see as an attack.
It's supposed to be used to say
I'm not going across the floor, Jake.
Anyway,
can you
Dennis, go ahead. Go ahead, Dennis.
Go ahead. It's muted. Go ahead.
I mean, I just wanted to Randy to understand that I was giving my thought about what his 56% idea was, because the truth is that like my man Leo said, there are other indicators that can actually debunk this idea of the Afrobarometer. Don't get me wrong. I do respect the Afrobarometer because there are specific data that you can take from there, but it doesn't mean that they are gospel. It can be debunked. Even the World Bank and IMF data can be debunked. No matter where you get data from, it can be debunked. So I want you to have that perception so that when we come to this platform, when you put your data out there and say, this is where it comes from, there are other people that can say, well, this data there has to be some rationale behind it. Let's think about those rationales. That's all I was trying to say.
Let me maybe I can use my 1 minute at this time.
Let me give Choppy the opportunity for his 1 minute. Choppy, you can unmute yourself, please.
Great. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I've listened again, and but I'm happy that my friend and brother Morris, he's a normal guy. At least he could attest to some of these facts about domestic resource mobilization. He admitted that government has raised more revenue. He talked about the Rose Fund development. And I trust a judgment on that aspect because these were the guys crunching the numbers for the last 12 years during the early regime. So if he says that, I'm confident of that. So it means that the government is actually doing well in our area of domestic mobilization resources and roles. But here's the other issue that I really want for us to take into consideration here to guide this discussion. A lot of time people say there was no audit done of the previous government. To really understand whether our government is performing, we have to balance it against something. We have to compare. We can't just create a government in a vacuum. And there's actually an audit of Ellen Johnson's government, the 12-year Joseph Barka government. There is a report that was done, like I quoted earlier, by the international partner. It was a conference on Liberia that was done in 2017. It's called the Liberia. It's for conducted under the UK and Sweden government. Liberia Development Conference, February 1st to 2nd, 2017. This report is very instructive. 2017, this report tells us where the government was in 2017 before George Weah took over. And some of the findings from this report, it says that they did survey, they did pool, they conducted research and everything. And I'm just going to read briefly some of the things they said on the.
What's your point on that one?
My point is, I'm saying that the report shows that George Weah CDC inherited a very bad country, economically depressed country. And so we have to grade the government from that point, that depression point, to now that we have been stabilized and we are making progress.
So you are saying, in other words, because he stabilized the economy, so he should have a second chance.
But that's progress. You are in a depression. You have to first stabilize before you build. So that's progress.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Laraman Yonton. Laraman is from the JNB track team, and he's a JNB supporter. Laraman, welcome to the show. The big question here is, has President Weah done enough to win a second term, or has he performed so poorly that he's going to be rejected?
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for having me. And let me greet the fellow panelists. I see many of those who I know, Maurice and journalist Jayu. It's been hell of a long time since we last met. My good friend Blue Jay. What's up, my man?
Yeah, my man. Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
And also the legendary Leo Johnson.
Yeah.
And
thank
Randy.
Thank you, Yonton. When you come late, we can talk plenty. So let's go on to the question.
Let me just go back to I think we've maintained that the George Weah government has failed, and I think it has absolutely no reason to fail, given the national appeal that President Weah had with the people of Liberia, and understanding the social contract dynamics. There are a couple of ways you can look at national progress, right? And a lot of people determine it on an indicator based on the health of the nation in terms of good health, in terms of quality education, as well as the quality, the decent standard of living that our people have to live under, right? So when you bundle up all of these three factors, you have a broader conversation around what we call the Human Development Index. If you look at the different optimization on that, right, in terms of life expectancy, Liberia has not been doing well. We've, in fact, just between the last 2021 to 2022, we've moved from 64 life expectancy have moved from 64 years of age to 60. While we might be doing a little bit in terms of the percentage point on per capita income, but what good is it when citizens have money and are made to die with whatever they have in their hands, right? Go to hospital, hospitals are no good. All of our referral hospitals are lacking, basic medication. People are still dying from diseases that could be cured at little or no cost. We saw the rest crisis, which is still ongoing. People have a lot of money in their hand, but cannot access key commodities. We have not done very well in our Human Development Index. We are at 178 out of 191 country. We've dropped tremendously by 0.33 points. The government-owned signature program, the proposed agenda for prosperity and development, have shown that the government has drastically drifted away from its own program that was intended to pull mass Liberians out of poverty. If the government's goal is to ensure that according to their plan, in the last 6 years or 5 years, to pull Liberians and make Liberia a middle-income country, why are we not investing in the health of our people? Why are we not investing in agriculture? Why have we overcrowded, our national payroll to ensure that the public sector is the only driving force for employment, whereas the private sector remain dormant and non-existent or on life support? So overall, the government's performance has been dismal. We cannot trust a Weah government one day after 2023 in 2024, and I think the Liberian people has to boot them up.
And Dennis, I just wanted to chime in on this
data. Thank you. Let's observe the time, 2 minutes at most. So
I actually wanted to come in.
All right.
1 minute.
Gibson, 1 minute. Randy, if you can focus yourself here. Randy, look at me. Good. And Choppy, if you can move up a little bit, we want to see the real Choppy Charlie. Yeah, if you're good. Go ahead, Randy. You have 1 minute. Not Randy. Gibson.
Yeah.
When I talk about the projects that were sponsored by the international community, my brother Blue Jay Choppy Charlie tend to disagree with me. So I thought I should remind him in January of 2018, the public works minister had a press conference and enumerated projects in Monrovia that were spearheaded or that were sponsored by the United Nations Development Program and the African Development Program. So probably my brother Charlie doesn't know. So I thought to remind him about these few projects and these few towns and villages, communities in Monrovia. So let me name some of them. Maybe Chappie Charlie will remember. This one is on February 18, 2018. You can research that on the Public Works Ministry website. That's Dixville, Kaba to Ghanarsville Road. Kaba to Ghanarsville Road. Yeah. Carwell, New Georgia Road. Somalia Drive, Police Academy, Loking Town, Mumbo Town. And then they have another one, Somalia Drive. So these are projects, Charlie, that the government did not pay money for, that the international community pay money for. So the government cannot take glory in them, my brother. These projects are funded. If George Weah leave today, if the international community CFA, they will still provide funding for these roads. So all of these roads, they are being funded by international community. The government of Liberia have paid nothing towards these roads. The money were given to government. So the government, the George Weah government, if they boast about roads, that shows that they need to be booted out. Because I can't imagine that you have poverty, you have high level corruption, you have deficiency in the agriculture sector, you have our commercial sector, business sector, they are all suffering, and you boast about roads that are not even funded by you. That gave us more reason for George Weah to be booted out.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack, can I just chime in here on the
chime in your 1 minute, then we go to Prince.
Yeah, just quickly, two things. First of all, I think, Mr. Jerry, that's a bit below the belt to say everything bad are happening when the government empowered at the government responsibility, but when good things happen, then we don't give the government glory. I think I disagree with that. Whether or not the road was funded by international donors.
That's not what I said, but you go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry.
I just
making my own point.
But you said that what I said. That's not what I said.
Let me.
Just go ahead.
No, let me correct myself.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Say because the roads were not funded by the Liberian government, we cannot give the government glory. I completely disagree with that, because without the government's ability to assure donors that when the money comes, they will spend it properly, donors will not put their money there in the first place. So we can criticize the government for where we should, but I will not sit here and say, hey, when donor money is coming to the country and the government uses it to build road, then the government doesn't. The government could have squandered that money. They could have used it anyway. But on the last thing, on the statistics issue, I just want to remind Liberians, majority of the statistics coming out of Liberia is garbage. It's garbage in, garbage out. We do not have the robust statistics gathering environment to ensure that the numbers that are going in make any sense. That is the reason why the IMF is coming up and telling us every year that the economy will grow, because we collect a few numbers on the Lebanese stores in Cinco and other places. Nobody collects the data from Relay Market. Nobody collects the data from Waterside Market. I will argue that 71% of Liberians do not go to Lebanese stores and stores that are paying taxes to LRA. They go to Waterside. They go to Relay. So when we start to jump on the Afro barometer, it's garbage in, garbage out. If the data emanating from Liberia is garbage, everything that's being produced relying on that data, I challenge anybody to give me the robust data gathering environment in Liberia that you can rely on to tell me that anybody can draw any kind of robust, solid statistics on. That is the reason why we are in this perpetual swing of every day a lot of the data saying this, but a lot of the reality on the ground is heading in another direction, because our over-reliance on data is not supported by a robust data gathering environment in Liberia.
Can I get 10 seconds response to
let me respond.
10 seconds.
1 minute.
I think I would really love
10 seconds.
Yeah. Hold on. Let Prince come in. You hold your thought, Prince.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We want to go to the second question quickly.
Yeah, you see, one of the things that we should guard against is people just putting out statements, to the public that are dangerously cooked with misinformation. Like my brother said just a few minutes ago about life expectancies in Liberia. I am looking at a very sophisticated, well-designed, well-packed information here from the World Health Organization that provided us the life expectancies from every nation based on, the health, road, etc., etc. And from 2011, the life expectancy of Liberian was 59%. 2012, it was 60%. When we took over 2017, it was 63. Now the life expectancy is now 64%. I am giving you raw data. It is
That's
right
not
here.
true. It
Now,
dropped from 20, it dropped from 64 last year to 60.
I'm sorry, sir.
Hold on.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, I got your point, Prince. So how do you think, Prince?
So,
Prince,
yes,
how
sir.
do you think they got that data?
Exactly. What's the robust environmental support?
Yeah, well, these data are collected from their own agency, their own mechanism, their own, people they have on the ground.
You think they
That's how
went
this
to the again?
Exactly. That's
definitely. Yes, they went there. They went there.
That is
They
incorrect.
went to those areas that you and myself cannot easily reach. They went there.
Right.
And when people are talking about this information, they are just garbage in, garbage out. Then I think you are not doing justice. Then it means that all of the data that have been coming out, you are not doing justice to even yourself.
What's the data center you got in Liberia?
One thing I want to point out here.
Thank you, Prince.
Hello?
Prince, I got your point. Let's just take 1 minute.
Where is the data center?
Dennis, can I say something, Dennis?
We have 3 questions, Prince.
Yes,
it's okay. Let me
No, you give me 1 minute. Let me use my 1 minute. There are a lot of listening. No, my 1 minute finish. My 1 minute finish. Now, when you listen to all of this,
I'm taking it right here.
Yes, sir. But I finished. I was being interrupted by almost everybody.
The moderator says it's finished, bro.
No. I must say I'm also keeping the time. Why it is true that we're here.
Okay, 30 seconds, Prince. Go ahead.
Yes,
complete your thought.
All of the opposition that spoke, or the previous speaker, they all mentioned something very, very significant. That is the progress of the government. All of them spoke and point out to progress that have been made over the period. Everybody that spoke, they make mention of progress. Now, when you look at the IMF report on Liberia quite recently, as it relates to fiscal policy, all of us know that Liberia was well praised. While it is true there are challenges, look at the MCC report. The quite recent MCC report.
The one that you failed 2 times?
Exceptionally well. So
the one that you failed 2 times?
Prince, thank you. We got it. I got your point. The MCC, IMF, World Bank. We want to go to the next question. I think everybody has spoken.
Dennis, just give me.
Except
before
for
we go to the next question, can we? I think
there are some things that has to be corrected before you.
Yeah, just give us 30 seconds to correct.
I don't know where the data center for collection is.
Then you will not be doing justice to me.
Let's be
you
fair,
interrupted my time because you wanted us to go to another topic, and I.
Go ahead,
Dennis, even when Liberia was considered a War II nation, just around 2000, life expectancy was growing. We have 51, just around 52 by the time Ellen assumed the mantle of authority of the state. She took it from 52 all the way to 63. There was steady growth in life expectancy. The last 5 years, we have seen dramatic reduction. The people survivability will depend on the government's program to sustain and keep, the governance structure alive, right? We are not investing our all national expenses, our all national expenditure on health, on education, on basic standard of living. It took an American ambassador, a European ambassador, to have gone to Liberia to describe Liberia and the capital city as the dirtiest. Our people live in feces during the rainy season. It's not a decent standard of living. We expect to grow up in that kind of environment and survive even beyond 20. I think, in fact, the international community helps when they say life expectancy is even 60 years old, 60 at 60. They help.
Thank you.
It's impossible. But the last point I would like to make is to my brother Leo. I would rather love to know on what basis, what is the source of your data when you say 71% of all Liberians will not even shop, to not even buy from Lebanese stores. All right, I really want to know the source of it, because if you say in all through the argument we should dismiss data and facts,
let me just answer it to you quickly.
Something that was empirically done. Whereas our government do not even have the capacity to invest in commercialized research, in any forms of research at that level, We have to point to what we have available. All right. So we cannot dismiss it because it's part of the argument, it's part of the numbers, and part of the empirical findings based on which we can,
Can I respond very quickly?
Dennis, can I jump in here?
Hold on, Leo. Let me go to Morris.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to just follow my man Yonton, position. I think Leo is in error to say that there's no data in Liberia. That is not true. That is unfair.
I didn't say there's no data.
To be very honest,
I said
Leo, come in, Leo.
Leo, yeah, you get a chance. If you say garbage in and garbage out, it's almost implying that the data coming out of Liberia is garbage, which means that there's no capacity to collect data. That's not true. I mean, there is a certain institution that is responsible to collect data and interpret that data for us. So the household and health survey that is done in Liberia, the labor ministry, ListGIS, those are data collection institutions. Even the Ministry of Finance have data collection section within Ministry of Finance. But to say that because most of Liberians are in the informal sector, it means that the data that we collect is not rational. That is really erroneous, and I think it's wrong for us to make such an assumption because it's true that most of our people are in the informal sector. That is a fact. But that doesn't mean we can't make rational assumption about the economy because most of the people in the informal sector. And Liberia is not on an isolated island. There's several countries like Liberia where most of the people are in informal sector, and the people all of us sit down, we gather data, and we make assumptions about the future, and those assumptions can be right. I just wanted to correct that.
And Leo, to add before you cut me, when is it that we should trust the data, and when is it that we should dismiss it? So go ahead, respond for your 1 minute.
I think we should get it.
Leo, you can hear me?
See, it's frozen. But can I jump in quickly?
Then it seems to be that you're not going in order now because you're keeping time. I've been quiet now for almost 20 minutes now. So I don't know what I'm true on that.
No, everybody got their 1 minute. So I don't want us to go in different direction because we are.
But the main data is not correct because we are not spending 20 minutes discussing that issue here.
Yeah, that man, he got that data from Afro.
So I think some bias is going on here because the whole part of this is now.
But I want to jump in.
Now everybody jumping inside now.
If I can, before.
All right. So the major question has Weah done enough? We have answered that, so it's time to move on to the next.
No, but in all fairness to me now, if I can make.
No, Randy, you were the first that started on this topic.
Yeah,
right?
but let me to close on it now because people have.
Then everybody will have another time to close.
No. Then you're not being fair. You're not being fair on the platform here because
all right. For this
conversation.
But you started. We just coming after you. They said the men are fair. The men gave you chance first.
But everybody has got it right on it now. So can I say my final point?
Hold on, Randy. You can wrap that in the next one that's coming.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The next question here is, if President Weah is to win, right? Because that's the question I get all the time. Some say it is only President Weah who can defeat himself. So if President Weah is to win, will it be because of bad opposition, or is it because of good governance? Is it because President Weah is doing well, that's why he's going to get a second chance? Or because the opposition is weak? That's where I want us to. Because of good governance, is it because? So for that, let me start with Choppy.
Oh man! Now you give all the men fire back.
To that question, please. I beg you. You can't let that.
When you get your turn for this question, we can use 2 in 1.
But I have to go back on something very quickly. On our data question. And
the data, let's leave the data.
No.
Data,
I mean, yeah.
The issue of data, I think it's taken away from the topic.
I will come back to the question. I have to go back there. I'm constrained to agree with my man, Private Manager again. Because the reality here. Wait, let me finish.
The issue of data.
I'm using my time. I will come back to the question.
You have to use your term right now, my man. We're on a different.
I'm using my time. So if I can,
data is really not relevant to this. To what we.
No, it is relevant to the question. It is relevant to the question I'm answering. It is relevant to the governance question I'm answering. It is relevant because There are data in Liberia. Most of the institutions, Prophet Morris stated, Liberia has data. They have express, and that's why I reference that. Listen, hey, my man, wait now, but you interrupted me.
Yeah, because he stated, I don't want us to keep going.
I'm answering your question. No, wait.
Right.
Let me finish my point.
All right.
I have to answer the question the way I want to answer it. I'm answering your governance question.
The moderator can cut you off if you don't want to answer the question.
Say what you want to say.
That's the way I want to answer the question.
Let him say what you want to say.
I will answer the question the way I want to answer it. I will answer the question the way I want to answer it.
The thing is that the man know Weah is not going to get re-elected, so you can answer the question. That's the point. And the point is, if you say on public radio, development it's a
we cannot have people, interrupting whenever we are.
You guys disrupting, my man.
All right, Choppy, here's the question for you. If President Weah is to win, will it be because of bad opposition or his good governance? Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Okay. I'll reverse my answer, but I will say come at the same point. I would say it is because of good governance. That's why the opposition is bad. Weah is performing better. And because of better performance, the opposition is weak. And the reason why Weah is performing better, I'm coming back to comparison. You cannot grade Weah in a vacuum. Number one, people talking about the country's to be or health situation and human security and all that stuff. Remember, the whole world was shut down for almost 3 years in the face of COVID. And so that reality, Liberia also struggled with it, given that Liberia was in an economic depression when George Weah took over. And the records are there. We're talking about data. Again, I'm referring you to the Liberia conference that was held in February of 2017. This conference compiled was met by Liberian experts, the government Liberia at the time, the Unity Party government. They had the finance minister from the Unity Party government, the commerce minister, order collecting all the data from all across the country, whether from market women, from school places, from Kawekan, from Fagona Home in Lofa County. All the data were examined, and along with international partners. And the conference concluded on all the basic aspects. Let me just read some quick conclusion on human security, because we're talking to say a national strategy on human security is needed to ensure human security in Liberia. That tells you that nothing existed. Human security was absent in Liberia. It was struggling. Education. Government needs to prioritize paying teachers. There's a need to unify around a single education agenda and to put in place a mechanism to use the budget more efficiently. It means the budget will not be used efficiently. Education will not be supported efficiently. National resource. Companies that are caught doing illegal logging activities should be prosecuted. It means they will not be prosecuted. The country needs to reduce its over-reliance on raw material exploitation. It means we're over-relying on just exploiting our natural resources, no processing. So there are many other issues. This Liberian data compiled by Liberian experts collecting all local data in the country shows that the country was in a bad shape when George Weah took over, and he stabilized the country, which improved governance that makes the opposition very weak.
Thank you.
That's why they're looking weak. Because the government is performing.
Thank you. J. Randy, same question.
Yes. It's very comical to me that when folks speak about the president's performance and try to argue the point of data not being important, my question that I'm going to ask, no one is forced to answer it now. The 12-year administration, there was a lot of documentation that came out and focused on statistics. So those who are supporting Joseph Barka here today and other government officials or past government, if they want to equate that data is not empirical enough, then after this show, they need to make a public confession that whatever information gathering Ellen had done in the past, that some of them are relying on today, is garbage in, garbage out. I'm just bringing that out. That being said, Mr. Weah, and I still stand by this today, Mr. Weah will be re-elected beyond that 56%. I see there's something important here, but many people don't follow it. The issue, the demographic, and the geographic. That particular institution did a due diligence by going throughout the length and breadth of the country and collected that information. Today, when the World Health Organization say President Weah is struggling in the area, then certain people take that data, that information to be important. If they say President Weah is not doing well, then they say he will not win election. So people manipulate the information to their own liking. And I see many faces here who will say Joseph Barka did well based on his past. But when we look at the data that Joseph Barka has accumulated, when we look at the data on what company accumulated over the time of their existence in participating in Liberia or with Liberians, those data sometimes become far-fetched. But if it comes to their own liking, they customize it to themselves. So my answer to your question here is the opposition is not doing so well in terms of collaboration, in terms of vision. I know you don't want me to spill the vision. I mean, you don't want me to spill the beans into other political parties, but I'll be very upfront here. Joseph Barka had no vision. He has not separated himself from Ellen Johnson's vision. That means that he's not going to win. Mr. Cummings is very inconsistent. He's not going to win. For Tiawo, he's just introducing himself to us. So other than that, there will be no one, not only with the inconsistencies of their party and the individual past history that cannot determine their progression to win. Mr. Weah has a 56% that touches key things. The only issue that he needs to work on, and not just him, with all the conversations we're having here, the very legislators who hired these people and presented to Judge Weah has been unable to call these people back into chamber when they're underperforming.
Thank you.
Does that mean that Mr. Weah is not doing his job? No. The opposition themselves are not doing their job because the Senate has their responsibility role to play. The opposition got their role to play. But their main and primary focus is just on the executive. And that's where the executive is going to win because the people need to understand the reality of what is happening to them.
So in essence, you are saying Weah is going to win because of bad opposition and also because he's doing well.
Not only bad opposition, but incompetent opposition as well.
Yeah, that's what I put, or I just say bad. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Leo Nepulu Johnson. Leo, same question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. John. Before I even go ahead, I'll first just say data quality is a measure of the condition of data based on factors such as accuracy, completeness, consistency, reliability, and whether it's up to date. Now, I will read from Lege's own report, not any other foreign report. Despite a significant narrowing of data gaps and statistical capacity, data in Liberia suffers from substantial limitations due to physical and logistical constraints imposed by the country's geography. Don't call me off, Jay. Please, I beg you. I listen to you. Don't call me off, please. Due to the country's geography and lack of infrastructure, and due to low capacity, both of which affect quality of data collected. This is not me saying it. This is Lege's report. Let me limit this, but I wasn't condemning people who do data work in Liberia. I know there are a lot of experts in Liberia who can do data. But taking a Toyota Camry and giving it to someone to race against somebody driving a BMW X6, no matter how good that driver is, you're wasting your time. They are not going to actually win. So I'm not condemning people in Liberia who can collect data. What I'm saying to you is the quality of that data is compromised. It's not accurate. This is what Leges is saying to us, that the very data that there is not accurate. So all I'm saying to us, when we are basing our quotes on them, I'm not saying don't use them. Let's condition it by the caveat that these data are questionable data, both when you use it in favor and against. To your question, Mr. Ja, I would say this. If President Weah is to win, it will be because of a bad opposition, in my opinion. And I know when I say good governance, everybody quick to say, President Weah alone. No, the government is the legislature, is the executive, and is the judiciary. It's not just the executive. In my opinion, we have not achieved good governance by all standards or by all indicators in the country that we see. Whether it's the rule of law, whether it's lawmakers making laws to drive on the wrong side of traffic, whether it's the inability of the Liberian National Police to conduct simple investigations and come up with reports, whether it's journalists being beaten and the president setting up a committee to investigate. Until today's date, the Larry Brobler committee the report cannot come to the public, whether it's the Americans indicting top-level government officials and the government promising to set up an investigative committee to come up with a report to determine whether or not these allegations are true and disappearing in thin air. in my opinion, if President Weah is to win, it will not be because of good governance, because clearly we are lacking. And this is not about President Weah as an individual fault. Let's stop doing this like this. It's the entire infrastructure of the government, legislature, executive, and judiciary.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Prince Sharif.
Will definitely win. President Weah will definitely win because of good governance and the insincerity of the opposition towards the Liberian people. Let me just give you this example. Right here, it is being displayed. You know, when information comes out in favor of government, that information is not correct. It has no iota of truth. It lacks any scientific proof, and etc., etc. They will use all of the words. But when it comes out that maybe the opposition will see it palatable to use, then that is the accurate information. It is perfect. You see, these are some of the things that are killing the opposition. Their level of insincerity towards the issue, towards the people. Now, when you look at the security system in Liberia, for which today we can praise this particular government, look at what happened. We had 15,000 well-armed, well-trained, well-sophisticated security force in Liberia. Today, we do not have that 15,000. But look at the significant progress we have made in quite recent. $100 million drug that could have been placed on the Liberian market to damage that country completely. It was arrested by this particular government. $30 billion, fake money, Liberian dollars, was arrested by the security apparatus. Now, with all of the challenges that we have as a government, but you can see that this government is managing whatever little to be able to make significant progress to improve the education sector, the health sector, that even the previous government said they were all messed up and they had challenges in. Today, we are seeing that this government is making tremendous effort to balance the wage bill as compared to the previous government, where you had the wage bill was reaching the sky. People were taking up to $20,000 a month as if they was working maybe in Pluto or in Jupiter. So this government will be re-elected based on this mechanism, these tangibles that they have put in place, and this policy that is affecting the lives of the Liberian people. But remember, it's not going to be an event. It's a process. And this process is working because we are seeing it in the lives of our people. It's not going to be rapid, but it's going to take shape, and we are seeing it taking shape gradually. With the building of roads, we are seeing food coming toward the town. With the building of hospitals, we are seeing people now attending to diseases and sicknesses that years ago,
thank you, Prince,
they were never being attended to.
Prince, thank you. Let me go to the Gongloe supporter, Mr. Jero. Please unmute.
Thank you very much.
Same question.
Yes. First of all, if Weah were to win the coming election, it will mean neither of the two. It will mean Liberians have made another bad decision. Liberians have been making bad decisions for a long time. They made a bad decision when they said, you kill my mom, you kill my father, I will still give you power. They made a bad decision when they voted for George Weah and say, you educated, you're not educated, you are illiterate, not illiterate, I will give you my power. Those are decisions that Liberians have made. So if George Weah were to win, they continue to make the same bad decisions, and they are going to reap the benefit of their bad decision. This is opportunity cost. You see Gongloe qualify, committed to rule of law, committed to making sure that Liberians benefit from the resources that they have. If you leave that and you go take George Weah, you're going to get another U.S. government sanction on another 3 government officials. You will hear you see another 47 units of 10-story bill by George Weah in another 6 months. You're going to see the police in ineptitude to manage the security system in Liberia. You will see that the government will continue to downplay the agriculture sector where the agriculture minister is accused of corruption, and George Weah still keep her there. You will still see the election commission is accused of a crime, and she's still in her position. You will still see the ineptitude of George Weah. You will still see that he will look at the finance minister and think the finance minister control his life and he cannot take a decision. You will still see George Weah refuse to make change in his government to remove bad apples and bring in good Liberians who are helping to run the government. You will still see that the government will continue to perform in the way they are performing. Look, let me say something. For those who believe that George Weah has good governance, you are in dreamland. Because good governance includes a lot of things, not just the way even people behave at job, the way people act as minister, the way you treat government property, the way you treat government funding. These are all things that George Weah have filled in. Okay? Nobody can sit here, my brother Dennis, to say that a government had never done any good thing. If anybody says that, you are naive. If a government is elected, there will be one thing that they will do. But a government is not rated by just one event. Like in the case of President Weah, who continued to herald the road projects as if he was the one that was funding those road projects. I just gave you an example of more than seven road projects in Mosorado County that were funded by international community. But he continued to tell the people that I'm building roads. The issue of international community assistance is endemic in Liberia. Ellen Johnson had the same thing. She was giving government money to build roads. If George Weah leaves and another person gets there, the person will still get money to build government roads.
Thank you.
So the issue of whether George Weah, if he wins, then because of good governance, no, it's not that. Whether the opposition is bad, no, not that. Because Teron Gongloe is not bad. All of you here can attest that Teron Gongloe is good. I'm not speaking for all the people. But because people will make a bad decision again to elect George Weah, who is inept, who is incapable of making decisions beyond those people who have held him captive.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question for you, but you took so long. Because that's what people sometimes call an elitist idea. To say, well, if we lose it, if George Weah wins, it means the population is, and I want to use the word, stupid, right? So
no, not stupid. They make bad decision doesn't mean they are stupid.
Right,
that's the weakness of majority rule.
They're going to be making bad decisions. So what can Gongloe do now to kind of talk to the people not to make bad decisions? That's a challenge. If he's not able to do that.
Oh no, that's what we are doing now. And let's recognize, Dennis, that Gongloe and campaign came in late. But we can get examples of people who came in late and won other elections. We hope that in Liberia, the phenomenon will change, that people will not look at lateness to mean incompetent, will not look at lateness to say you are unqualified. That people will begin to realize, say, hey, look, even though he came in late, but he is capable of making the good decisions.
Let me go to Mr. Young from the GNB camp.
So I'll use part of my time to respond to some of the misinformation. The first thing, let me start with my brother Leo. You know, it's difficult to even respond to Leo when you don't know where Sahil. At one point of his conversation, you think that he's sedition. In his personal monologue podcast, he will say he's an independent, and tomorrow he's welcoming comments in Canada. We have to be very clear when we are having these national discourse.
Don't say things about me. I'm not there, my brother. Please, I'm here.
No, not you.
A lot of things about me that are not true.
He said Leo. I'm not talking about you.
I don't know where he's coming from with those, but I will respond to that. But I'm
still
here.
Said Leo. He's not talking about you.
You won't be forcing me. So yeah, we have to be very clear, right? Let's speak aside. Let's not have on the accountability of being, independent or neutral, because it doesn't help the situation where our country is right now. We need serious people who will take a side and stand by their conviction and debate the issues as we move along. And the other thing, I just want you to tell me one country on planet Earth where people conduct empirical research without limitation. Every research that is done, whether it's commercialized research at the university level, or is some organization, non-profit organization that leading every research has limitation. Liberia is a classic example. All of the things that you just listed are limitation. It's part of the process. But you cannot condemn research that are done by international folks, that are done by local folks, just because Leo say it's garbage in, garbage out. Bro, it's not fair. Let me just talk to Choppy Charlie. You know, it's difficult. You know, Choppy is a very smart guy. You know, I worked with him before, but it's difficult to defend. We are 5 years. He's performed this month, right? To even argue that the Liberia Development Conference and findings that came out of that conference, in which Anthony Sai was the guest speaker, who is also from the United Party, to argue that it is the basis for which the Weah administration has not audited the Ellen Lay administration. You know, that's a flat. That's a flat. That's a punch in the tire, right? As it relates to governance. We are saying audit. You're saying no, we cannot audit because some development conference finding says that all of the things were not in place. But then why you took the mantle of authority and did not put it in place in the last 5 years? On my brother Prince will make out to believe that the fewer rules, community rules that were built are helping farmers in rural communities to take their produce to Monrovia, which is a diabolical lie. The government is still investing, take for example, rice, our staple food. The government is still investing 11 million in our subsidized budget to subsidize rice, and we still have the crisis of shortage. In 2017, when we had won the election and took over, the government of Liberia, or the entire country as a whole, was producing around 247 tons of rice. The Propo agenda ambitiously told us that they were able to take it from 247 to 357 tons per annum, right? We are not able to produce what our staple food, what we're eating as a country. And that's the fundamental problem. The solution CDC has provided to us is to continuously subsidize rice. And that is not solution in itself.
So quickly, you want to just respond to the question for your last 30 seconds.
Yeah, so we argue that the opposition is going to win this process, and that's the result we're going to accept. There's no way, whether it's on God's earth or it's in Pluto, that a Weah, given his performance over the years, can secure a victory. Whether he has 56 or he has his stable 38 in terms of his percentage number, he cannot accumulate the kind of vote that he did in the second round of 2017. And the reasons are simple, right? We look at the demographics. You're going to have more young voters, more than what we had in 2017. We are moving, just land on my thought. We are moving towards having a national census, right? The population has increased. There's going to be a lot of first-time voters on top of the young voters. And most of these, if you go down Monrovia, most of the kids are very clear. They are not in school. They cannot even carry fitting lunch for the ones that are in school. Our young people that graduated from colleges are without job. You have to go and join the CDC before you are sent to be office boy in one line ministry or agency. That the situation is deplorable. It's beyond deplorable.
Thank you,
we must democratically leave.
Laura, but you trust that there are going to be census before the elections?
Yeah. There will be census before the election.
I just wanted to make sure. Let me go to Mr. Perfect Manager, Morris.
Dennis, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I've listened to everybody, and it seemed I don't even know where to start from. But
start from here. If President Weah is to win, will it be because of bad opposition or good Weah?
I'm going to address the question, but some of the statements people made. I mean, Larama addressed some of them, so I'm not going to repeat that. Just for the sake of time. But on the Weah side, this is how I'm going to answer that question. It's a very tricky question because if we replace Weah, I don't think it's going to address the issues that we're having in the country. This is my honest. I'm a Liberian before I'm any kind of political affiliation you want to put on me. Replacing, I used to tell people even before Weah got elected, I say if you take Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and everybody that is in the early administration, if you take all of them out and bring in a whole brand new set of Liberians into government, it's not going to address the issues, the fundamental issues that is wrong with the country. I mean, think about when we talk about this leadership thing in Liberia, it's not just the presidency, it's the national legislature, and it is the judiciary that is responsible for the rule of law. And these functions have to be independent and functional. The bunch of people that we have in the legislature, the national legislature, whether the Senate or the representatives, most of them are clueless about how powerful a role that they play in holding public officials accountable for the things that they do. When we talk about all these audit reports from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, there are several audit reports that came out. The legislature still have an opportunity to take those audit reports and hold these people accountable for some of the things that happen. Weah has been in office for 5 years. You can't tell me at what point that the legislature say, let's call these people and find out why is people dying on the Rawalpindi Highway so much like this? What are we doing as lawmakers to address it? Why is it that people in the Southeast don't have access to education and health, to pave road? Why is it that the entire Southeast is cut off from the country during the rainy season? Why are we not doing something to fix it? But if you hear our representatives and senators, the thing they talk about the most is $15,000, whatever money for themselves is what they debate. So in realistic term, take President Weah from there, put Joseph Barka, put Cummings, put Yama Gongloe, we still have the issues that we have because the presidency and the legislature have a way to concede as a group to say, well, somebody have to concede for us to make progress. I mean, let's keep it moving. We have a country that is deeply broken at the bottom. And unless we deconstruct and try to build back up, we'll continue to have the problem that we have. And it's not just, it's the people thinking. I'm not blaming the people entirely. But Weah and his entire administration, they have demonstrated complete incompetence. But to be honest with you also, there are people in the opposition that are very educated, but are also misleading and very dishonest about this whole future of the country. Let's face it. That's the fact. Whether we agree on it or not, it's the fact. We must be able to speak. If you're educated and you're patriotic enough, then look at your leader in the face and say, listen, this is impractical. We need to be honest with our people so that people can start to trust us again. But if we can't make this thing about President Weah, we have to fix the country. To fix that country, it needs honest leaders. And unless we do that, we'll be in this vicious cycle. Every day we'll come here and blame the other leader. I see how many people have blamed Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for the corruption. That is true. In Ellen administration, there were massive corruption. But how many citizens are brave enough to say on a public platform like this that there is corruption in Weah administration? They're not brave enough to do that. How many of our people that support JMB brave enough to say, okay, JMB, you have to be able to speak to some of these key issues because they are the core of the issues that we have to fix in this country. JMB can't fix Liberia by himself. Yama Barka can't fix Liberia by himself. None of these people can fix Liberia by themselves. But it starts with the honesty of our politicians. Then we start to fix some of the fundamentals at the bottom.
Thank you. You still didn't answer my question.
So I'm talking about the issues with the governance. So whether we are win or not, I don't think we'll face the problem. So it's not going to be because of bad opposition or we are succeeding. It's the fact that the system is broken. That's what I'm saying. So whether we are wins or the opposition win, it's not going to fix the problem for me.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't answer that question.
Thank you, and that's fair. Leo, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond. I saw there was some put on your plate.
Yeah, no, so just quickly, my brother Nyonton, Laraman. So I think maybe you don't understand the role of leaders. As president of the Liberian Association in Canada, outside of Liberia, I have the responsibility to welcome all of our leaders. When I hosted Honorable Benena Ure, we hosted him roll out the red carpet. When we hosted the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the deputy ministers were all here, we rolled out the red carpet. Alexander Cummings visited Canada and wanted to meet with the Liberian community. We also roll out the red carpet. And we have invited President Weah as well. We have extended the invitation to JMB as well. So the failure of your leaders, if you're confused as to where I am, is because as a patriotic citizen of Liberia, outside of Liberia, any one of our leaders that show up here, we owe them the due courtesy to respect them and give them access to the community so they can speak to their people. It is left to Liberians. So if you're confused as to what side I am on, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those who, because I support somebody, I will be in a leadership, national leadership position for all Liberians, and I only prioritize my side and ignore. I don't do that. When it comes to the government, I know all of y'all want us to say only the bad things are happening in Liberia under President Weah. We will not do that. The good things that are happening in Liberia under President Weah, we will say it. Some of us have gone to Liberia. We've worked there. The government has never put anything in our way to stop us. Our argument has always been about national issue. And to the seditions, all of you have made a government about President Weah. You all made a government to look like that. Only President Weah, the government of Liberia. So by the time somebody criticizes the government, you're interpreted to mean President Weah. The government of Liberia is not President Weah. President Weah is the president of the republic. The government of Liberia and the governance issue are bigger than President Weah. So the sooner seditions can start to accept that you got to be defending President Weah on every issue, you make it personal about President Weah. It is not. And the last thing I will repeat on data, nowhere in the world where quality data is being collected, there is significant issues, and the body responsible for the data is not able to put their stamp of approval of accuracy on the data. We agree. There are errors. There are margins of errors anywhere you do research. But for you to tell me, say that free for all, where even the body that's conducting the research say we can't trust it because we don't have the ability, nor the infrastructure, nor all the tools that we need to conduct the research, then that is a significant flaw. So I'm not sitting here saying every data about Liberia is wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you that we have to be very careful because majority of this data, the people who own the data telling us, say, we don't have the infrastructure to collect proper data. So we are only making do with what we can do now.
Thank you. Thank you. Lara, man, I don't want this to go because I don't want us to stay on this data issue. I want to address our last question and then we bring in our comments and callers. If that is fine, we go to our last issue.
But I think we should get a chance to make some correction. We're referenced many times.
I think,
we should be ordered because most of these speakers spoke for 5 minutes plus. I was watching the time here, and we never had a chance. I've really been monitoring the time, and then after the 5 minutes, you ask the additional questions.
Yeah, so that's true. I agree with you, man.
Watching the time.
1 minute, 40 seconds. I'm monitoring.
Spoke more than 5 minutes. I'm
more than 5 minutes.
1 minute, 40 seconds.
No,
I'm watching my
you
clock.
spoke for 6 minutes, 12 seconds. I'm watching this right here. 6 minutes, 12 seconds.
All right. The last question here is, which of the opposition leaders has done enough to win the hearts of voters to beat President Weah? And this is an opportunity for you, Mr. Choppy Charlie, because I don't think you believe anybody want to have done enough to win Weah. So if you can use that time to make the rebuttal you want to make, that's perfectly fine with me. But we've gone 1 hour, 25 minutes. I want us to, even if we'll come back to do rebuttal, let's complete the agenda for the night. So for this one, which of the opposition?
I'll start.
I'll start with Mr. Yonton.
Well, I think I support the opposition. I belong to the All Liberian Party, and my party supports the tendency of Joseph Yama Barka. We believe that he is the man Liberia needs at this time, given his experience, given his long years of public service record, and given his vision overall for the country. Just 2 days ago, he was on one of the biggest platform called The Class Reloaded, and he talked extensively on his vision, the arrest, agriculture, rules, education, which I'm very passionate about, sanitation and tourism. He believed that in the areas of agriculture, we can do more than just subsidizing our staple food. We can move on to empowering farmers to cooperatives, ensuring that they have the dignity of their labor, invest in human capacity, employ and deploy the right kind of expertise that will manage state resources that will be invested in the sector, and overall produce the results. in his first 100 days in the first year as it relates to agriculture. But he's also passionate about.
Mr. Yonto, let me interrupt, and I'm stopping the clock for me to interject, right? I want us to, I know each of you support a side, but let's say, assume for a minute that you don't have a side. Which of the opposition leader has done enough to win the hearts of the voters? And tell me what that opposition leader has done to win the hearts of the voters. I want us to look at it within that direction. I know we are tempted to kind of maybe promote our candidate, but if you were answering this question not knowing anybody in Liberia, what will you say?
Well, to assume it's being hypothetical, and it's difficult to be hypothetical at this point.
Right. I mean, just respond why this opposition leader has the best chance, or
I just said it.
Has the voters.
He has won the heart of Liberians because he has been very consistent.
Okay.
His work in government for a long number of years has been around without a tint of corruption, and the people see him as the natural human magnet at this point to correct some of the mistakes of 2017. He's very stern as it relates to ending the culture of impunity. Many Liberians and even some on this platform will agree that that has been a cancer. The culture of impunity, corruption, economic looting of the state has been our fundamental problem, both in governance and outside of government. Okay, and so he has been strong that with a Joseph Boycott-led administration, we're going to crack down on corruption. We're going to ensure that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report is adequately implemented. We're going to move to ensuring that everyone in the public sector, in fact, we'll start with the auditing of, the previous government, not the government in itself as a target, but individuals within the government that hold positions of public trust. That we have seen some line where you live from being poor to rich overnight, and you must be able to justify the accumulation of wealth over time. So Barker has been very clear, and his vision sums it all. Those are pressing issues that the country is faced with at the moment. If we cannot empower ourselves agriculturally, if we cannot invest in our stable food, if we cannot move our country to a production hub where we are growing our food, and he spoke about something the last time, right? Liberia, under his watch at LPNC, became an export hub for coffee and cocoa for the first time for a native man heading that institution to make a milestone, all right, in terms of production. So we're very clear. But more importantly, we can talk about development all we want. I think there's a growing wave of national crisis that we have to deal with. That has to do with the young people, drugs and substance abuse, and all of our young people that have been thrown out of school as a result of the hardship of the day. So we're going to invest in education more so to begin the process of revolutionizing education, where we have people who are graduating now from universities that are not even able to compete with their counterpart in the region. So he's looking at
I have a quick question. So with the plan, the arrest, is there any way I can find that to read?
Well, before campaign gets started, the manifesto will be out.
Thank you.
For Liberians to have the opportunity to read through it, peruse it, and debate it. It's not something that's going to be, hidden. It's a public document for people to have conversation about. So we're working to make it public.
Thank you. Mr. Charlie, I know you support President Weah, but which of the opposition leaders has done enough to win the hearts of voters and for you, I would say possibly, beat President Weah?
That question is very humorous to me because when one look at the opposition, for example, Joseph Barka Unity Party failed the country for 12 years. And after Joseph Barka Unity Party failed the country, we still hearing the same empty promises, false claim for things that he has not done. And that's the heart of dishonesty. I thought there was this claim that Joseph Barka should have been a decent and honest person. But here is a man who worked in LPMC as a marketing officer. He did not create the entity. The entity was created for a specific purpose to buy or product crops from local Liberia and sell it. It was not his ingenuity. He was only working, but yet he is claiming the sources of that entity just because he worked in one department in a county, just only in one county. He didn't even was supervisor for the whole country. I mean, that's a heart of dishonesty that anybody could ever hear from such a man who is claiming to be a president. Second, I listened to Joseph Barka. He has no plan. He talks about school. How much will it cost to do all this development program he's talking about? There's no cost. There's no timeline where he will get the money from. All of his interview he has had in recent time has been empty promises. And worst of it, Joseph Barka talks about good governance, but when you listen to him, he talks about the ADA agriculture program in Lofa County. Here's a man who claimed that he played a major role in bringing that program to Liberia, the Libyan program in Weah, where it failed. But he also talked about he should have been a sole distributor of the produce that would have come out of the production of rice. Not once did Joseph Barka mention the role of the Commerce Ministry. It tells you the nature and concept of Joseph Barka in terms of governance, personalizing these things for his own personal profit. Such a man, after 12 years of failing, cannot be trusted with state power. So I'd like to go back to make some corrections.
2 minutes already, so go ahead.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes.
Yeah, you used 2 minutes already. So
that's why I'm going back. Yeah. So first of all, let me correct my brother Yonton when he talks about me claiming that the development conference that was held in 2017 February was because of that conference. We said that the government should not be audited. I said that conference is an audit. There are different kinds of audit. I said that conference itself is an audit. They claim that there is no record of Ellen Johnson, Unity Party 12 years, Joseph Barka Unity Party 12 years. That conference is an audit of Joseph Barka 12 years.
Bro, that's so elementary. Don't be saying that.
Thank you.
Yes, Joseph Barka 12 years.
Thank you.
Because I gotta finish up. That conference is an audit. We had the finance minister, the commerce minister, we had all the apparatus of government at that conference. The report showed a failure by Joseph Barka Unity Party. Such a failed president cannot come by and tell you.
Let's shut down LCC, shut down GSC, and then
amplify. Let me go to Mr. Gongloe, Mr. Jero from the Gongloe team. On mute, please. Same question.
Yeah,
Mr.
same
Jero?
question. You know, Dennis, you can see every platform that we go to, they have negative about all the opposition political leaders, but there's none for Gongloe. That's number one progress.
Okay, hold on. Because they say he's not a factor. They are attacking JMB because they are thinking that JMB poses the most threat to win.
No, they're not attacking JMB. They are providing facts about JMB.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what I consider it. That's not attack. I'm not here to attack other opposition, but here is why Councilor Gongloe is the best fit that can beat George Weah to the ballot box. First of all, he's clean. That's what Liberians are looking for. They're looking for someone who is clean. Councilor Gongloe is the only government official or former government official and the only presidential candidate that has seen the lucrative the grease, let me put it the simple way for the Liberian people, that have seen the grease in government and abandoned that grease because he believed that the cause had been betrayed. And that was when he was Minister of Labor. And he did it openly. In 8 months of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, he resigned because, and he criticized Ellen openly that she has abandoned the cause. That's the only government official here who is formal and has shown integrity.
He's not the only one. But that's true. He resigned, but he's not the only one.
Exactly.
Who's the only one that resigned here from
government? Guys, let me finish.
No. I put a challenge out. Give me one government official who is a former, who is a presidential candidate that resigned. Newton.
Jerry, what would like to see? I don't like to.
Newton, I said the only former government official who is an opposition political leader
that question of Morris. He was the one that
it's
objected
not
to you, but I would like to see
Yonton,
the leadership. I would like to
Yonton,
see the leadership of Gongloe.
Yonton, that's not an issue. You're not arguing with the leadership.
Audited.
When we come on this platform,
Yonton, that is the beginning of this
platform. When we come on the platform, we come with facts. I provided you facts. You said it's not true. Give me one.
It was Morris. It was Morris. You keep.
that was Morris?
Gibson, your
that was Morris. Okay, sorry.
Gibson, you finished, right?
No, I'm not finished. I'm giving 10 seconds of my time.
Please end your thought.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let me come back, Morris and Yonton. Sorry, Morris. Let me tell you something. There is no former government official that is contesting for presidency that had ever left the grease and criticized the government that he was in. Only Councilor Gongloe had done that, and he did that openly. Okay, so the second thing is, if you look at the man, in fact, first, right now as I speak to you, the only presidential candidate with a 100-day objective, well, Liberia better objective, is Councilor Gongloe, and it can be provided immediately if you ask for it right now. The Unity Party does not have it, and I don't know if JMB forgot that he had contested previously. He should have a manifesto that we should be looking at now. Cummings does not have it. Okay, this I don't even know whether we should talk about Bernard Ure, because he's not a factor. So the only person who has, he's not a factor, because he will never win election in Liberia.
Why you mentioning he's not running?
He will never win election in Liberia. The Liberian people know him very well. He will never win election.
But my man,
to cap my composition, I'm trying to tell you that when Liberians want something quality, if they want someone who will not steal their money, if they want someone who are not stealed in the past, if they want someone who is not going into a position because of their ego or because they know that they just want it for the namesake, if they want someone who will transform the justice system in Liberia, that will make sure that people are held accountable, then they should go for Tiawan Gongloe, because he is the only person who can guarantee those things today. He has been tested and he has proven himself worthy. So that's what I wanted to say here.
And Alexander Cummings has a website, and on that website he has something that looks like a plan. So it's I think it's alexanderbcummings.com, I want to believe.
So
it was recently launched.
Just misinform the Liberian people, Jerry.
It's not true, sir. It doesn't even have it. Because I've been on that website many times.
But I think it's
it's explaining about himself.
That's a plan. He has a plan there. And let criticize will have to criticize. That's all
let's move forward. The Liberian people will check it and they will tell you that that's not what we call plan. That does not describe how you're going to do anything. The plan we are talking about with Tiawan Gongloe, it tells you the step you're going to take to achieve certain objective. And that is not what Cummings has.
Where is it?
Thank you. Let me go to Jay Randy. No. Oh, sorry, not okay.
I can say Jay Randy spoke. You going about Jay Randy again? He can't come.
No. I haven't spoken on this. No, I haven't spoken on this. No.
1 minute. What Tiawan Gongloe has is a party-driven stuff.
Where is it?
Cummings has is an Alexander-driven stuff. So,
let go, Jay Randy.
Yeah. So let me just
say this. Which of the opposition leader has done enough to win the hearts of voters to beat President Weah?
Let me just say this. The 56% will stand. The African.
Hey, Randy, where are you going with the 56%?
Look, everybody spoke. I didn't talk. I come here with a resume that made Mr. Weah president. I understand the social, political, and economic structure of our country. I know how what people think. There's nobody sitting here except Prince John or Prince Sharif who has that resume like me. So I know what I'm speaking about. Mr. Weah is going to win our election. He is going to win our election. Now, Tiawan Gongloe and Mr. Cummings, they are going to be competing in 2029. They will be competing in 2029. Mr. Cummings is just building popularity for himself to lower down Mr. Barka. Tiawan is coming in the game, but he will be a formidable guy in 2029. That being said, for someone to come here and want to make a case for Joseph Barka, then I think our country got no future, even for tomorrow. Even for tomorrow. You got Joseph Barka, who been in government for over 42 years. He started with LPMC as a coordinator on a turbo, though elevated that institution to a corporation. He underperformed. In 1980, the PL 480 came to Liberia to help facilitate our agricultural sector. As agriculture minister from 1983 to 1985, Joseph Barka did not create anything in that ministry. There was a study that came out, again, another statistics. The PL 480 and the non-parboiled rice were the worst that were being imported to Liberia. They had the swan rice and the upland rice that was established in Liberia. They both complemented each other. They had the National Rice Committee, they had the LPMC. Joseph Barka did not do anything. What I'm explaining here right now, Joseph Barka cannot relate to what he did when he was agriculture minister, what he did when he was at LPMC, both director and coordinator. Joseph Barka is unable to transfer his skill from one place to another. Up to today, Joseph Barka has not been able to separate a vision from Ellen. So when you hear someone here say, oh, when election time arrives, we will displace you, I will agree with Chero that he got nothing to show. That means that they just say the people, I come there, J. Randy is the man. J. Randy is the man. But when we see the J. Randy man, well, when time comes, you'll see J. Randy. A guy who ran the country for 12 years, a guy who said he got experience, cannot even articulate the issue when it comes to agriculture. He has not even come out to give us what he has done in the past that we can relate to say, yes, this part coming to the issue to make our country be better. Joseph Barka feel by default, his age is the one that's going to give him that power. Young guys are sitting out here willing to make their sense to be all behind a man who are wasted time doing nothing. For him to come up also to say, oh, when I become president, I'm going to cut on job. No. The 21st century is leading to 2030 where jobs going to exponentially increase. The population in Africa going to be in demand. And you say you're going to cut job? Joseph Barka, look, I got nothing to say. Joseph Barka, Ellis Coming, and Councilor Gongloe, they are not going to be the president after 2023. They have to read out their concise statement, and I stand by that. This is a historical information I'm giving you here with facts. Y'all will come back. I don't care where the people voted with, the people voted with. One thing Morris said, I will agree with Morris. We continue to focus on the executive. We need to begin to provide education that will help our people build logical skills and provide that information at all ages that are able to read and write. The national legislature, Joseph Barka was in the Senate. He knows exactly that government officials under George Weah are supposed to be held accountable for poor performance. But when last have you seen a Senate or special committee calling even the agriculture minister to say, we granted you the power and we want to know what is happening? No. They sit here and we don't want to critique George Weah. And this is where George Weah going to defeat them. Finally,
Randy, you're going over 4 minutes.
Oh no, you better get an other time now, my brother. You better get an other time now. No. You're going to get an other time now. It's my time to talk to now. It's my time. After you, I'll be silent.
We had a 56%, Randy.
The 57% will stand. So again, finally, the statistics that were taken, it was not by Liberians. It was by expertise of people who facilitated that process and went throughout the country and took those statistics and brought it and continuously monitoring it. They go by every quarter to assess that data. So it's not static, it's just dynamic. And based on that, one thing I will leave with you guys on that data, 78% of the people in the rural area don't have access to the internet. If that is not true, I rest my case.
Which is why the data collection been difficult. Because
Thank you. So the Afro Barometer was founded by Professor Robert Mates of the University of Cape Town, while based at IDESA, Professor Michael Bratton of Michigan University, and Professor Emmanuel Bodi of Ghana.
Yes, right. and it's also supported by the United States Africa Foundation as well, a new grant organization too.
Thank you. And so Randy, Larama, please jot down your point.
I just printed the PL the
Yeah.
PR.
Yeah, hold on, Larama. You will have
How
your
many
turn.
pages that? How many pages that? How many pages that? How many pages? How many pages? How many pages?
Larama, you will have your turn, Larama. Let me go to Mr. Prince Sharif. Larama,
Yes,
because he has said a lot, so I want you to digest that. We'll come back to you. Mr. Prince Sharif.
yeah. Thank you.
Which of the opposition can try small, even though they will not win?
You know, I will want to say, I don't want to drive the path of being very comical here, especially to this opposition leader. I don't want to make anybody to feel fun. Look, the results are there. You can look at the results and tell. And let me just say this, like my brother is saying, when we come to this discussion, people have not forgotten in Liberia that there are 3 branches of government. Now, everybody blame President Weah, including the representative and senator. They blame President Weah for their fault. The judiciary, they blame President Weah. And this is the reason why we are going to give this man another 6 years without any question. Because all of these other bodies have failed the Liberian people and they are afraid to take on the responsibility. And we are seeing it here. Having said that, let's look at the issue of these political leaders. All of these people have been tested by the Liberian people. Let's look at Joseph Yama Barka. Joseph Yama Barka has been given 40 plus years by the Liberian people to prove that indeed he has the substance, he has what it takes to be able to improve the Liberian people's life or to at least put them on par. He had all of the opportunity. You talk about the resources, you talk about position of influence, you talk about proximity to the power that be. He have had all of these opportunities. And what did he do? Or what he told us as Liberians? He squandered our opportunity. Quite recently, again, the Liberian people gave him an opportunity to see if he was going to put things in perspective. When he went on some kind of area they call class reload, because these are people that have failed and they now see the opportunity in Dar es Salaam to reload their pocket. Because remember, under Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they were given the opportunity
Prince, are
to
you
load
looking
their
at a
pocket.
teleprompter? Because you're not
No,
looking at me.
I'm not.
Oh.
They were giving an opportunity to load their pocket under Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When President Weah took over that opportunity, it went on the drain. Today, again, through Dar es Salaam, they are reloading themselves, their pocket again. So we can understand. But when it comes to that particular show, for a Joseph Yama Barka in this modern age, day and time, to tell the Liberian people that in 100 days, all of the road in Liberia, they are going to be pliable. God, Lord, let me tell you something. Let me stand up small. We will not allow people to use their age to play fun with the Liberian people here. 100 days? You know what you're talking about? How are you going to implement that? How will it be implemented? How will the implementation start? How will you do it for us to have role that no car will hitch on? Look, Joseph Yama Barka is my own. I'm from Grand Cape Mount and Lofa, born in Mosorado County. But we will not continue to allow people to abuse us. Let's come to an Alexander Cummings. Alexander Cummings also has been given the opportunity by the Liberian people to prove himself whether indeed he is man enough to be able to aid and help the Liberian people. But for every time Alexander Cummings is given the opportunity, he's poorly.
You got 3 minutes, Prince. Thank you.
No. You see, that's the thing. No. You got to give me my chance and I have to learn. Now, on this, let's look at Mr. Alexander Cummings. Mr. Alexander Cummings came to public, to the public because of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf influence. And when you look at the attributes of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that came almost 250,000 of our people during the Turbo era is the same thing that Alexander Cummings doing. If Alexander Cummings is not here in America to lobby fame so they can post sanction in Liberia, he either in Canada looking for money so they can go take our children who President Weah has given the opportunity to learn book, to go to school. He wanted them from in school so they can come on the street to come and protest. A very strong supporter of Mr. Alexander Cummings said this, that for her, they want for sanction for America to not help Liberia. Are these the kind of people that we gave Liberia to? When Mr. Alexander Cummings had the opportunity, where the Coca-Cola was giving substantial grant and opportunity to African nations. I've been talking on it for the past 3 days. Alexander Cummings played a very pivotal role in earmarking some of these countries. Nigeria, that Mr. Cummings was signing, benefited almost $11 million from Coca-Cola. South Africa, that Mr. Alexander Cummings was signing, they benefited $13 million, both from small scale and also from agriculture. So you want to tell me at the time Alexander Cummings didn't know that there was a nation called Liberia?
Thank you.
Today Alexander Cummings is telling us. So none of these people are prepared because they have been given the opportunity. Talk about Yama Barka. Let me leave my paper for it because he is not issue of significance. Even our big brother Gibson Jeroen know that. It's just that it's unfortunate that we allowed Gibson Jeroen to sleep. But we'll go back for him because the issues that he's propagating, that is not even substantive, not fair. But we'll come back for him. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson again?
Yeah, no, again? You say again? I
didn't say anything yet. I think what's
all right,
after Leo, you will come.
Okay. I come and say I'm happy to speak after Maurice. I don't have an issue. Maurice, you want to go, you can go. I can say, okay. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I've heard everybody, and it's really interesting to actually see. For me, I would say that, first of all of the opposition leaders have been focused on everything outside of what they need to be doing, in my opinion, to win the hearts of voters to beat President Weah. That being said, if we look at it on the face, I mean, opposition people have been fighting for the last 1 year almost. They were in court battling each other as to who fake document, who didn't fake document, who took document out. So I think among the opposition, though, the one person that I think has been showing some semblance of working or doing the work has been Alexander Cummings. And it's because I think he's the furthest behind. He's the furthest behind of all the opposition leaders. JMB is a new name in Liberia, like it or not. JMB is a household name. JMB has been within the political arena that he can show up anywhere. People can identify JMB right away. Alexander Cummings, the ground he has to cover is huge, is massive. And the only person that I've tracked that visited 9 counties so far has been Alexander Cummings. The next person I would say is Gongloe, Councilor Gongloe. I feel for Councilor Gongloe because unfortunately he doesn't have the resources. I think he would have made a great opposition leader, but it's very clear. I don't know where Gibson Jeroen will find the money from to run the national campaign in Liberia. That part we haven't answered it yet. I don't know. But in all fairness, whether the opposition has done enough to beat President Weah, I would say that is yet to be seen. They still have 11 to 12 months, right? In politics, we say that's a lot of time. But let's also remember that it is not only the work of the opposition that determines winning or losing an election. There are many other factors. For example, CDC self-imploding. I've always said it. The self-implosion of CDC is a very major factor that nobody paying attention to as we're watching it disintegrate. In many ways, for the first time in my lifetime, I've seen factions popping up in CDC. I'm hearing my gay factions, I'm hearing the real seditions, and these are not silent people, right? Like Dr. Lester Tenney and all of them showing up. This is new for CDC. I don't know if they know how to deal with that because they've never been in this place before. It's their first time ever having to deal with some of the demons that are coming at them. So
it's not our first time. We had the ANC faction, the ANC that broke away from the CDC. We have the ability to manage these crises.
This time around, I said break away. I said self-implode. Break away that different thing for somebody to break away and go form their own party. So
self-implode. We have the ability.
So self-implode and remain in the party is another thing. It's a whole different ballgame. And I'm yet to see CDC managing this. In fact, what they've been doing, anybody self-implode, they come after you and try to smash you as hard as they can without even hesitating one bit. So in my opinion, the opposition still has a lot of work to do. I think Councilor Gongloe and Alexander Cummings, in my opinion, I'm yet to see JMB's strategy of the work that needs to be done. That being said, he is a household name. After being vice president for 12 years, you can debate that.
Thank you. Perfect manager.
Dennis, thank you. So this is how I want to start off this conversation. I think, the truth of the matter is election is a number game. So we have to put the numbers to the perspective. I know, there are partisans that get very emotional about these kinds of things, but let's just look at the numbers. So in 2017, we are defeated Joseph Boakai in the second round. They said they won, 14 or 15 counties, right? That's true. But the difference between the two parties in terms of number was about 135,000 votes. That's not a lot. It's not a lot. With 6 years, when the people went to the polls, Weah was never the president. So 6 years after, and everything that Leo just talked about with the self-implosion and the opposition, grappling for, some kind of collaboration that is not happening and everybody trying to figure things out, the voters are confused on what direction to go, even with their dislike for what is happening in the country. There has to be, something that inspire people to vote. Otherwise, in 2023, there will be significant voter apathy. People don't have interest in going to vote unless something inspires them. But I'll say this. The old man, Joseph Boakai, is popular. Whether we agree, we disagree, Joseph Boakai is popular in the country at this point. He could be a force to reckon with, even with the broken opposition. We will have an uphill battle to defeat Omen Boakai in a second round election. If Boakai makes it to the second round of the election, we will have an uphill battle, especially if the first round numbers show we are around 25-30%. If that shows 30%, if he's not able to push up to 40-45%, then we are in trouble. I can almost predict the end of the election for the end of Weah term after that first round election. I can say that for a fact. But I also want to point out that, all this thing about seditions talking about, Boakai was there, Boakai have not said, and he have not delivered any message. Weah got elected in 2017 without a message. He never delivered any message to the people. Never said anything, and he got elected. Weah was senator. Don't forget that he was senator.
Point of correction. Not everyone.
Don't correct me yet, please. Let me finish. You can correct me.
Not everyone that said we are.
When you speak, I listen to you. I've never ever interrupted you. I gave you the chance to speak. So the right thing to do is to give me the same courtesy.
Leo, you're talking so smart.
Yeah. So Weah was senator. He got elected as senator. He didn't do anything. Weah also worked in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration for 6 years. He was peace ambassador. He got a share of the national budget. If you ask, so if this election in 2023 is going to be about accountability and about ideas, I'm not sure how Weah is going to come out of it. If it's going to be because of Weah popularity, because of the man George Weah, because he's popular and what he has accumulated for himself, then yes, let's argue that. But to argue about ideas and about plans, even the PAPD has not delivered what it committed itself to. Leo talked about it. You committed to take 1 million people out of poverty. I was in the Ministry of Finance when that plan was developed. Ask the people that work in that ministry with me. I challenged them on that. As a Liberian, I said, this is impractical. I said, even if we have 4 more terms, you cannot take 1 million people out of poverty. And here we are. We got more people that went into poverty than have come out of poverty. So and you here, you don't try to sugarcoat and make it. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is why I say our conversation has to be about honesty. I work in early administration. I can tell you honestly, there was corruption in early administration. Let's see these people do that. I challenge them to do that. Challenge citizens to do that.
Thank you. Let's give
the issue of corruption under this government. The perception is even higher than the actuality.
That's not true.
let me give Yonton 2 minutes to respond to. A lot to put on GMB play tonight.
Yeah. So let me start with Randy. Interestingly, I think earlier on during the program, he said that there is absolutely no one consistent. He has the resume, which is true. The only thing that's reading in his resume is inconsistency. He's the only one single person on this platform that has been inconsistent. I've watched your many podcasts. On 1 minute, you support Alexander Cummings. Another meaning, you pretend to be the man who brought Weah to power. Another meaning, you want to question the integrity of others. Well, you have to have a national cleansing of your own integrity before you question the integrity of others. Now you speak of the title, the PR 480, right? In fact, that agreement was called the Title 1 agreement. And the Title 1 agreement, what you're speaking, I just printed it, right? It says that the government generated 8.4 million. Rest sales alone, the PMC rest sales alone was 2.8 million. Now, the excess of profit was shared among the CD Bank and the National Bank of Liberia, totaling 8.4 million. Now, the value of 8.4 million in 1985 is worth exactly 14.7 million. That's what the PMC generated in the sales of rights under the Title 4 agreement. The project was a huge success, thanks to Joseph Yama Barka for the level of innovation that he brought along to make that project very successful. So you cannot argue the PR 480 because unless there's a different document you're reading from, but this is a document published by UC in 1985, April 27. It's clear. People want to argue on the basis of Barka history, but fall short on arguing the history of George Weah, the history of George Weah before he assumed the presidency, and even the current legacy of George Weah. Doesn't even suffice for a president that will win a re-election for one single day in any country's history. Weah has been a colossal failure to the young people who sacrificed their lives for 12 unbroken years to ensure that he becomes president. There was popular video where Weah was elected, and you see people saying, school fee prices will drop. Our children will go to school. We are hopeful that things will be fine. We'll have food to eat every day. There was a market woman in 2017. Apparently, Joseph Barka was, and I did not support Joseph Barka in 2017, as a matter of fact. Joseph Barka was going on one of the campaign trail all the time, and it stopped to how you call it, this market, Joba. And this market woman was like, y'all go, y'all carry your United Party car. We want Weah, we want Weah. Weah will provide jobs for our kids. 4 years later, someone went from the same Ministry of Finance, who were working at the time at the Ministry of Finance, went there. He said, Omar, your son got a job now. She said, where play? Where play? You cannot even, to create 1 million new jobs, that means you should have created an environment, an enabling environment for at least 200,000 new businesses to scrap. 200,000 can produce, holding all factor constant, that at least 5 citizens will be employed with an average of 200,000 new businesses. What have we seen? Failure, Itonlu, Ibomaf, people coming from UAE as investor, quote unquote. The government has not been able to even secure one foreign direct investment. Pitiful grants are given to the government as subsidy to the budget. We misuse it. We were told before the election that this is $1 million worth carried to a TQ. One man with so much million data. And so we must elect him because he has the capability to remove our country out of poverty. How did he respond to the people's expectation? How? Like a petty broker, like someone who have not even seen up to $100, like someone who have lived their life in abject poverty, coming to the highest hymn of the presidency, building houses, giving contracts to people for kickback. And when you heard that the Turkish was going to take out the airport, you ran straight and bought land and built for the 8 for the 7 condominium. Weah has always been about Weah, for Weah, by Weah.
Thank you.
And misused the love of the people to his own advantage.
Thank
This
you,
is the
Mr.
greatest
Youngton.
nightmare we have experienced in our history, and we cannot go to bed having 6 more years of nightmare. It's not possible.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are watching is
Can I come in now? Can I come in? No, Dennis, you asked.
Randy, you are interrupting me when I'm saying something.
I know.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
But I'm saying something, and
okay, all right.
I'm
just letting you know. I'm just letting you know that I have my part of thought to say too. So I'm just letting you know.
We all have thoughts, but we got to move forward.
No, not in the instance now, because they are told that you take swing and you go by and say, okay, can you make a clarification? So you got to be honest in that one too.
Renee, you got B platform. If you miss it, just do it on your platform.
No. I want to use it on the platform. Yeah, I want to use it on the platform.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Debate Friday. If you want to be part of the conversation, we already have like 10 people.
No. If you don't allow me here, then you'll be unfair. If you don't allow me, you'll be unfair.
Can you please let me run this?
I'm just asking you to make.
But you are not letting me to talk. You are confusing the public.
Let you. Go ahead. I'll let you.
We have a scholarship here from one of our listeners is listening right now, I believe. And this is a scholarship program for Liberians. Dr. Pete Vulule and his wife, they have this scholarship for Liberians 5 to 12 grades. So if you are interested in applying, please visit www.drpcvf.org and someone will respond to you. That's a scholarship. Also, we have some shows here lined up tomorrow. We're going to have a show on. We'll continue our series on the presidents of Liberia, and one of the presidents we'll talk about is our 4th president, James S. Payne. We'll talk about James S. Payne tomorrow, right here on Focus on Liberia. Our presenter, Carl Famler, will be here, and we're going to sit down with me to have the history of Liberia. You don't want to miss it. There are things revealing about this man that I've never known before. Like, for instance, is depicted in our history book as a mulatto. But Carl found out that he's black. Don't let me tell you more. Also, the Press Union of Liberia, they are having their elections, and one of those running is journalist Julius Konamba. Julius is going to be here this Sunday at 12 noon to sit down with me so we can talk Press Union. You don't also want to miss this. And guess what? Next week, Thursday, the political leader of the ANC, the standard bearer of the CPP, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, will be right here on Focus on Liberia. And he's going to be sitting down here with me to discuss politics. You don't want to miss it. At this time, let me take a few callers here. And the first caller here, we want our callers to take part. The first one is a seditian by the name Melicent Yadolo. Mr. Yadolo, go ahead. You're live, sir.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and thanks to the panelists that I've been listening to. Dennis, I want to quickly talk about my brother Gibson and his candidate, Yama Barka. I'm in Nimbania. I'm from Nima County, District number 90. I want from District number 80. I want from District number 9. It's not significant. I don't know why somebody that I know like Dennis, who does not know Tiawan more than I know him, we want to sit down and propagate lies about him. Tiawan own District number 9 representative, sitting District number 9 representative, a highly educated Nimbanian, Honorable Dr. Johnson Gongloe. It's a member of CDC right now. In their own backyard, the district he comes from. Johnson Gongloe will be campaigning against him there and campaigning for President Weah. That's number one factor. So don't waste your time. The president of Liberia, your own country Grand Jide, the road that lead to Grand Jide from Nima County to Grand Jide, this president is building the road. And when you come and sit down here and say the president has done nothing, that road was contracted by President Samuel Doe to an Italian construction company, and the project started in 1987 from Ganta, clearing all the way as far as Secretary District. Paving started from the city center of Ganta towards the oil terminal in Ganta.
Thank you.
That road was contracted. If your argument is fair that this is an international community project or this was signed by the president, while Mananseri and Buaka did not build the road because it was a government project that was contracted by the previous government. Why they did not build the road in 12 years?
Thank you.
They received billions of dollars. And two, my brother Kruma, what happened to the poverty reduction scheme money? There was $10 million given to Liberian government for poverty reduction scheme in Liberia. The program was introduced by the government of Liberia, announced on the radio in Liberia, where the Liberian citizens out of poverty when Joshua was inaugurated. What happened to the money?
Thank
$10
you.
million poverty reduction scheme.
Thank you. Thank you, Medicine. So you are also saying that in Weah district, nobody from Unity Party there, since in Tuahon Gongloe district, the representatives is for CDC. But anyway, don't answer that question. Let me go to my next caller. That's Jonah Lorraine. Is that the name? 908 area code. Your name?
No, my name is not Lorraine. My name is Arthur Dennis.
Oh, Arthur Dennis. Go ahead. 908 area code, right?
Yes. I want to say thank you for the program tonight, Mr. Dennis. And I want to say I have two questions with two people in your pardon tonight. One is Mr. Randy Dapper, and another one is Prince Sharif. So I will start with Prince Sharif first. So, Mr. Prince Sharif, let's go to education, right? Sure, we are education. You got people in Liberia cannot count 2 times 2. Where is the education? Where's the free education? Prince, would you like to answer that question now, or you may go to Mr. Dapper?
Yeah, go to the next question.
Mr. Dapper, where we go from here? You're my friend, you're my brother. Where we go from here? Where we go from there? Are we still the independent supporter of Arizona Commies, or where we go from here? I will just stop right there, okay? I want the people to answer the question.
Thank you. Randy, you got it?
If you allow me to talk.
Yeah, we're taking more questions. Then please jot it down. Let me go to another. No, let's go to Evis before the Buaka supporter. Evis, you're live.
I'm not Buaka supporter.
No, I say I take it Evis before the Buaka supporter. I know you support CDC.
No.
All right, go ahead, Evis.
Only in spirit, I support you. Let me just quickly say this.
Okay.
So your first answer to President Weah deserve a second term. I would say no, but will he get a second term? Most likely. And then on the third question, right? I would say that JMB has done the most, but he hasn't done enough to supplant President Weah at the failure to win the election. And I'm going to be a bit somber tonight because I really like a lot of the arguments that most of these gentlemen made on the platform tonight. Most of which I was impressed with is Leo. He already spoke a lot of truth, but also Bloje came in with some powerful segments, and I think Prince Sharif the last speech he gave was very powerful and poignant. I think that speech was so powerful and that he too spoke already before he came out and showed the John. But let me just finally
what you were doing when you get in 20K?
Let me just say, JMB has been very disappointing when it comes to the old man we all thought was going to be the most elderly and the most prepared to lead our country. I think my biggest fear for JFB is the people he got surrounding him. The same old corrupt limited party people, which I think Mr. Kumar admitted were also very, very corrupt, are the same people that surrounded JMB. So it would be more the same. But thank you so much for taking my call, Mr. Jai. This debate was great, and let's continue to do this. I really like it. Thank you.
Thank you. And sometimes I wonder, JMB, where is Communist Wisha? Where is Gafuan? Where is Bianca Sally? Where are all these people? But anyway, Larama will talk at the end. Let's welcome JNB supporter Aliu Kamara.
Dennis, it's clear to me that you got somebody defending GMB better than I can ever do, right? I don't think I've ever performed this good on your show.
This man is on the tag team, so he's Larama Yonton. Look behind you. You see your MSc, MBA, BBA. You think something small? Go ahead.
When you introduced Randy Dappo as an independent, you were joking with him, or you did that intentionally, or you were serious?
The man here, you answer the question. Ask him.
Randy Dappo, I don't know how many SAR or money he gets. The boy did not get one area. Randy, when I supported John Weah, Everybody talk bad about John Weah. I stick with John Weah until the day I decided I will no longer support John Weah. I still a registered member of the CDC. When I decided to support Joseph Barka, everybody said, "Oh, why you supporting Joseph Barka? All the effort you apply, nobody can call you. Nobody not bringing you on this and that. You still support Joseph Barka." I said, "But I supported Joseph Barka because I want something. I live in Malcolm. I get checked every 2 weeks. My future is set. I can go home to Liberia at the age of 60. I will live until I turn 100. I will not pay for $1. So what need for Joseph Barka? I'm talking about Liberia. That's what I'm fighting for. Randy, you got to be consistent. It's easy to sit down on your show and be talking your one, acting like you have master's degree in sanitation and all that kind of thing. But yeah, now. You talk, you code. The boy just printed one thing, the marshal. No, my favorite person on this show tonight, that Charlie, I let the guy. The boy can read the thing upside down. The boss see a document or proposal, the method of audit. Oh, Joseph Barka was managing director of the method, and only managing director for local country. We're paying librarian to the managing director for one country. That Charlie. I let the people them far away. Let me just say, Leo, to be honest with you, you have a God gift. Talking is a gift for you. You didn't learn it. I think you were born with it, and I think you should keep it up. I really can enjoy it. Not that I agree, but I just to be amazed by the way you are able to put the pieces together and make sense out of it, even if it doesn't make sense. And that's gift. And I mean that. That's compliment. You know? But let me just clarify this before I go. The Gongloe man who we lost so much, he wanted Mr. Barka to be equal. He won't be attacking Barka. That mistake he want to make. But let me just help me out. Let me just support him something to do with the road issue. Let me just clarify this. This John, we had a bar road policy. Let me listen about the roads. The road from Gorbachev Market all the way to Dubu Road, Kota, our LA. Dubu Road, Johnny Beer, SKB, our LA. That big road, LA started A should be completed totally. And then Johnsonville Road, LA Polo Kota, all the way reach underneath the hill. This is John Weah, Johnny to Bigville Road. That Jolly Bad. Let me tell you, John Weah on a road there. None of John Weah Road reached 1 mile. No road John Weah Bay Memorial that reached 1 mile. The longest road John Weah Bay Memorial that took another road. And not 1 mile road. Okay, if you're coming from Commonwealth going to what here the big junction, there's a little shortcut there somewhere in that corner that the end of church building where you can move on to go to SKD Sport Complex.
Chucky Taylor Road. Chucky Taylor Road.
Chucky Taylor Road there.
It's called Chucky Taylor Road.
In that country. All right?
Okay.
So I want to thank you guys so much. It's a great show. It's a wonderful show. And, I'm enjoying my GMB people. They're doing very well. I will spare you today. Don't attack us. We'll let you. Don't spoil it. What you said. CDC people, you're going to say that. Let's get over. Thank you.
I leave you all the time you talk and you don't pay 5 cents to this show yet. But anyway, I will let you go.
Let me just say something. You bring 5 cents. Let me talk to Kuman.
No, my man, go.
What you have to use? You just throwing something there?
Go. Let's take this caller from Georgia number 678. Your name and where you calling from?
Hello, this and Dorothy. That's where you calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Dorothy, go ahead.
Okay. I keep hearing people, John, we ain't creator. No, we ain't creator. How many jobs is Eddie doesn't say be creator? How many jobs? All those jobs that were in Liberia over there that we left that don't care, but our NGO jobs. NGO jobs. Those people that went over there because of the civil war in Liberia. Our NGO jobs. When the NGO were leaving, when Eddie came over, of course the people will go back to the country. It's okay. They're not going to stay. When ECOWAS was leaving and we had took over, the people went with their job. Before Joseph before Weah came, Liberia had the resources. We had the gold, the diamond, the timers. Our Lord, therefore, Liberia, one of our Lord can follow trucks. Here for the American people, Lord. But you see, our Lord did a piece of wood that they use on it to break. What was the job? All our money was taken from that country to come in America here. They didn't create no job. The president got in power, These are the things he was supposed to be focusing on. But they started with their protest on the side, paying people in Liberia to protest. Which country was for in the morning to in the night? People did break. They protesting. I will tell them money there to go develop.
Thank you.
What guarantee I have? So we have to put the cabinet forget it. So we go, we say put the protesting. Don't worry, don't try to come to Liberia. Focus on development. And I want you dead. He's building the roads.
Okay.
We then I get people on the phone talking about Jordan did no road in Morovia.
Your leader one.
Anyone building. Any JB said what building. It was deplorable.
Thank you.
We have to fix it.
Tutu guy, let's stay now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tutu guy, let's stay. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Before they battle to the end.
I know you see the way you sound, right?
Yeah, before they battle to the end. John, we are going back.
Okay.
And when they beat people, will make key of Liberia.
All right. Thank you. Thomas Kamara, is that a name? 347 area code?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Thomas Kamara. I'm calling from New York.
The Big Apple. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, for me, my only situation I want to say is about Joseph Barka.
Hey, man, what did Papa do again?
Old. I'm 30 years old when Joseph Barka was FDMC director. I was staying in Lofa. I was staying with my parents doing farming. And we never buy any fireball rice. We were buying country rice. I can tell you that honestly. And then let me just come to Weah. When Weah was running for presidency, my house was divided. I voted for Weah and my wife for Ellen. So there was always argument in our house. Even my own co-worker, I was a director for a non-profit in Liberia at the time. And my workers tell me, oh, you got a master's degree, how can you vote for Weah? But I was politically angry. But to be honest with you, Weah presidency have not changed anything in Liberia. Joseph Barka was vice president. And all of you know that. I'm not sure the story, whether it's true, but they wanted to change Joseph Barka because the president didn't like Joseph Barka. Ellen never liked Joseph Barka. She never supported Joseph Barka's presidency. When they were breaking ground for Lofa County Road, she carried Weah instead of Joseph Barka. Joseph Barka, who is from Lofa.
You say Barka refused.
Yes, because there was a problem.
Okay.
He knows that Ellen didn't like him. You know that this is the truth. Let's be honest, man.
Okay.
And this is here. And the problem is not just Weah. The real problem is God problem. Because we lie too much. We lie, we sin.
So God punishing us?
Yes.
Hey,
because
man.
everybody, listen, all of you sitting now over there belong to a religion, either Christian or Muslim.
Not true.
Your pastor or your imam teaching you. You all are. Weah, who is the president, is a pastor. Is he honest? When he come to the Liberian people, when he go to the church, what he preach? Politics. He talk about opposition. God is punishing Liberia because we sin. We pretend to be religious.
Thank you.
That's why Escobar told me. He said when it's Sunday, Liberia street is quiet. Everybody goes to church. Then when it's Friday, all the street is spiked from the mosque. No car can pass. Then what brought the war? Our stars are petty. We pretend to be religious, but we are not.
Thank you.
You're sitting now over there belong to some kind of religion. And you're sitting out there talking different things.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kamara, beating you up with scripture now. All right. So plenty of people names they call here, right? So let me start with Randy. Randy, Aliyu asked you, say, who are you? Today you for Weah, the next day you're not for Weah, the next day you for coming down. You say you sounding more like we are person. So tell us.
Yeah, so let me say this. All those who are coming against me are people who suffer my wrath. I defeated them in 2017. So when they find me in a situation,
Aliyu was from CDC to 2017, just like you.
yeah, yes, but the fire, he's not committed to the cause, and he doesn't
Okay.
have no principle that he's guided by.
Okay.
Aside from Aliyu, all those who are coming after me, today when I walk in the street, people pointing finger behind me, you made joke, we are president. And I'm glad I'm in the United States, because if I were in Liberia, I would have been killed. Now, what I want many people to understand here is this, right? I'm guided by principles in life. 3 of my principles, one is equality, equity, and transparency. And this is something that you don't find in Liberian community, Liberian official, and Liberian organization. So when I take the 3 principles,
no kind of statement, Randy.
no, hold on. I mean, everybody talk now, so please give me the opportunity.
No, but you are saying you don't find those things.
Yes. So let me give my reason, please.
Okay.
I don't find the 3 pointers in any organization, and here is how. Today, when Randy is talking for Weah, all the Weah people can be clapping for me. But when I turn around and ask them some specific question, they turn against me. Recently, I told Mr. Cummings in Florida that I'm going to campaign for you, but my expectation is not just to cave into you. When I started asking Mr. Cummings some questions, the same people who were praising me become less you inconsistent. So Liberian definition of inconsistent is once everything is okay for them, there's no inconsistent. But when you try to challenge them on things that they are doing, then you become inconsistent. And this is where we separate, because I live in the United States. I don't know how other Liberians live here, but I believe in the 3 principles.
Thank you.
Then you can be my friend today. If you do something tomorrow that is not right, I will ask you. And asking you question does not give you the right to say I'm inconsistent.
Thank
and
you.
That's why I would like to say to my brother, Yonton here, he doesn't understand the principle I'm guided by. But he wouldn't hear people out there saying inconsistent. So I'd like to tell him tonight that I'm guided by equity, transparency, and equality. If those 3 things fit in there, then that's all. Joseph Barka told Support George that he cannot be a vice president, but he is a democratic process. But he looking at Support George and say, I cannot be in a democratic process. And if I ask Joseph Barka that, Joseph Barka, do you really understand what a democratic process means? Yonton will come and say, J. Randy is inconsistent.
Thank you.
That's what he's trying to say. Now, to my brother who is asking me, where do you go? I want you guys to understand that I'm like elastic band. You stretch me like this, I can come to your party with my 3 guided principles. If I don't see those things making progress, I'm coming right back to my base.
But that bank can also cut.
No, it's guided by principles. It's monitored by principles.
But I thought you were supposed to evaluate before you jump in the party.
No, you see, you don't judge a boat by the counter. And you
evaluate.
No. Listen, you don't judge the boat by the court.
Okay, let me take 2 more callers already.
Hold on. Let me address.
No, I get that.
Let me address the brother Johnson here. Johnson, there are times that you do what we call.
Yes, I just want 30 seconds after.
Correct. There are times that you do pre-evaluation, right. And there are times that you get engaged.
You understand it? Let's move forward.
If you are leading the army to battle, they already got me weapon.
Dennis,
I have a question. I have a question.
Hold on. Let me take my last 2 callers and then I'll close the line down, right? Let me take Emmanuel Soma and then Ambrose Calon, and then we close the line up, okay? Emmanuel, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Let me say thanks for everybody. So, I listen to few of your guys, your guests on the show, and first of all, let me say that person we with a second term. But you see, in one time, I observe we Liberians is that whenever we discussing issues, it's like we don't want to discuss how the problem was created. We just want to jump straight to conclusion. First of all, President, we have to go to the country for 5 years now, over 6 years now. What was the state of economic progression we have to go to the country? what was the state of the health sector, the educational system. When President Weah took over, what was the country's national budget when he took over? Now, let me just say this very quick.
Yeah, quickly.
The United Party led the country for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
They received the highest support from the international community, not because they were so qualified or the high international contact, but because Liberia just came from all the civil war, and Liberia needed all the help. Like any other country that just came from civil war. What did we do with the opportunities that were given to us? We squandered it. All right.
Thank you.
If you compare President, we have 5 years of leadership as compared to Malum Seli, 5 years. 6 years. You will find that President we have done a lot than any president, especially when it comes to providing affordable housing units for ordinary Liberians.
While we're going back to President Ellen Salif, let's just move on. So conclude with the last 30 seconds.
No, that's what I to conclude. President we have done a lot in here, 5 years.
To get a second term.
The any president is celebrating, and he deserves a second term, and he will get a second term.
You say President Weah did more than all the presidents since the history of Liberia?
I said President Weah have done a lot in his first 5 years than any president.
Okay.
Than any president, especially considering where he took the country from.
Mm-hmm.
We have a national budget less than 500 million.
So can you what comparison can you do between President Weah and Edwin Barkley? Do you know?
Nothing.
Just give me an example.
I mean, on the history.
Because we always say than any other president, and we don't.
But Samuel Doe have done better than George Weah.
They always stop. Any other president.
Samuel Doe did better than George Weah.
Let me go to my last caller here. Is that Ambrose? Ambrose Calon. Go ahead, sir. 832 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Hey, hello.
Hello, your name, sir.
My name is Ambrose Calon. You call my name.
Okay, go ahead, Ambrose.
Correctly. Yeah. I think I agree with one of your panelists. I feel like the issue is not the presidency. I totally agree with him. I think we need to try to get the representativity in Liberia that will represent our people, that will seek our people's interests. Because when we have dedicated or committed representatives, I think our country will improve and our people's lives will change. But when you only have representatives that speak for themselves, look at, not be political and be truthful to power. How you can get representatives that make almost $4,000 and $9,000 a month, and they get all their allowance, they get insurance, but you get people that live on $1 or 50 cents in Liberia every day. But a representative is not missing their paycheck. They get paid on time. Their wife and family travel, live a luxurious life. They want to go to America, France, or Europe. But they get typical Liberians to get 1 cup of rice, it's difficult for them. But you get representatives that get paid on time, they get gas, they get free gas, but they're not making no law or working for the people that elect them. Only when people come to them and say, oh, my daughter needs tuition, or my daughter is sick, or this family member, then you give them a dime on a penny.
Thank you.
You do a favor for them. So I think that's where the problem is lies.
Yeah.
And I think Joseph Barka supporter panelists, or your panelists that support Joseph Barka to speak power to truth. Joseph Barka is a decent man, but being president for Liberia, I don't think that's the time.
Thank you.
The time came, and the opportunity was there. I think please let me please. And I think Joseph Barka should do like your justice. It could be your advisor or be an elderly man and advise the people, or look for a younger person in Unity Party to run for the presidency. Maybe that would be a better way to go. I'm not saying
thank you.
That's not. Yeah, but thank you for taking my time to call.
Thank you. All right, let's do this. We've gone 2 hours 36 minutes. Prince, I gave you 1 minute. I gave Yonton 1 minute to respond to the callers, and then we can make our closing comments.
Yeah. A caller called and he talked about the issue of education.
Right.
The person that he made mention of, someone sent me the video. That person is in the 12th grade. In fact, it was during the person graduation that they made that mistake. So you want to tell me
who sent you the video?
Someone sent me the video. I have people on the ground. Someone sent me the video.
No,
you want
I
tell
know
me
there was a joke before the show started. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, you want to tell me you will blame President Weah for that particular person? When did President Weah become the president of Liberia? We're talking about some 5 years, some months ago. Somebody who graduated, who was in high school before President Weah could even think of becoming, a president of Liberia, or even taking, the presidency. You blame President Weah for that? Look, these are some of the unserious allegations that people can levy against government that we need to continue to educate our people. We have a serious work because these are the systemic flaw that we have in people analogy. For you to blame a certain government for problem that happened 25 or 10 years ago, then I think it is unfair. And we must be fair to judge this government. My 1 minute, I get 30 seconds. To use my 30 seconds in order for me to conclude.
Your time finished, Prince.
No, I'm looking at the time. I got it.
No, I get the official time. Let me go to Yonton. Mr. Yonton, your 1 minute.
Yeah, I listened to the callers. It's interesting when people talk about accomplishment. That the Ellen 6 years, for example, when compared to we have 5 years, we have done tremendous. Probably we're forgetting history or something, especially the post-conflict dynamics that we were faced with. Eden took the country from ravishing 14 years of civil conflict. Our international debt stock was so high. In her first 6 years, I'm not a fanatic of Ellen, but she moved towards debt waiver and debt cancellation. That was a milestone accomplishment that guarantee or seal a second round victory for her. But let's look at what's happening today in the last 5 years. We have a budget running at 806.5 million. We have our domestic debt portfolio at 708 million. To put it in layman terms, what that means is that for every $1.13 we raise in revenue, we are accumulating $1 in debt, domestic debt. So we're left with 13 cents. All right. Technically, no government runs on 13 cents. All right. So the Weah government, again, is a colossal failure. They don't have the priorities together. They don't have the stuff together. They are spending more than they are accumulating. And then the boast of increase in budget where? When civil servants are not being paid, when you have a free school policy where students are still out of the classroom, when you are building roads as if you're building swimming pool along the Ralphie Highway,
Thank you.
Where is the development?
Thank you, Mr. Yonton. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tonight. As we conclude, we have so many comments here. I couldn't.
But what about we're not giving a party statement too?
No, we'll come to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have so many comments. We can't even go through the comments, and especially the JMB man. We want to come back because there were a lot of questions at you. So at this time, we'll go around the room for your closing comments, and please use 1 minute 30 seconds. So I don't want to hit 3 hours on this show. So let me start with Mr. Maurice Croman for your 1 minute 30 seconds closing remarks. Mr. Croman, on mute, please.
Thank you, Dennis, for the opportunity. I also want to say thank you to my fellow panelists. I thought this was a very, good interaction from some of my colleagues, people that I'm familiar with and people that I'm not familiar with. But I enjoyed the interaction. Hopefully, we can do this again. I really look forward to having the kind of discussion we had tonight. One of the callers was talking about how Ellen didn't like JMB, and that's why, those kind of sessions are really bad for us. And every time all of us have the opportunity, we have to demonstrate some way that we are above some of the petty political assertions. Whether you're a sedition or a unity party person, it's good to to set some record. You remember, if all of you guys can remember, John McCain, when he was running for president, and one of his supporters took the microphone and said Barack Obama is a terrorist and he's not good for. He took the microphone back from her and said, "No, I disagree.
Yeah.
Obama is a good, American. He's a patriotic American citizen." That's the demonstration of patriotism that we need to
Right.
show in
I
Liberia.
use that same example when somebody said, "But what happened to McCain? He lost." So that's
Yeah,
why.
Yes,
but the country remember and respected him.
Okay.
I mean, even during his death, the entire nation stood and said, "This man was a maverick." It's about legacy, So, I mean, I know our country is a post-conflict country. Some of the fabric of the society is broken. I understand that, but I'm saying for us that share this kind of platform, that have, the opportunity to be in the diaspora or have food to put on our plate, we have to demonstrate that we have small integrity inside us, so that people can see that we are beyond the partisanship. We are more patriotic than we are partisans. Because at the end of the day, partisanship is going to go away, and that's just a caution to some of our friends, whether whatever party affiliation you have. Sometimes it's okay to defend your candidate, but also sometimes it's good to say, okay, for the sake of the country, I'm taking this position, and hopefully history remembers you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Choppy Charlie, your closing comments are 1 minute, 30 seconds, if you may.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, it's good seeing a lot of folks here for a long time, some of them. A lot to cover tonight, but I hope we can have some other time. I wanted to really x-ray and just one of the final point that my friend Morris said about being patriotic and correcting these wrongs. It behooves all of us. And it takes me to Joseph Barka's false claim and continued assertion that he ran LPMC and responsible for the benefit of LPMC. We need to correct this myth. It is disingenuous. Joseph Barka working in Lofa County for Rice, it was not his program. That program was created and he was sent to Lofa County where that program already existed. We need to correct these facts. LPMC was not only buying rice, LPMC was buying cocoa, coffee, and many other food across Liberia. The money that LPMC are receiving, they have other marketing officers in the Southeast, in Maryland, different parts of the country. It was not just Joseph Barka. Even when Joseph Barka became head of LPMC, the program was not his program. Why is he not giving credit to President Torbo, who created this program? Why is he claiming that as an MP, LPMC managing director, he has such a power to do such a thing, but yet when he was vice president, he said he was so weak, he could not do anything. I mean, that's disingenuous. We got to stop this thing. And the same thing he has done by also allowing surrogate to attack President Salif. I don't like presidency. I have not supported her politically, but it's disingenuous when a leader, a senior leader of the country, will continue to disparage and allow other people's record to be disparaged because he wants to project himself as a credible person. LPNC was not his program. It was President Torbo's program. Credit goes to President Torbo, not Joseph Barka. He should stop this deception, and his supporters should stop this deception. It is wrong.
Thank you. Mr. Jero.
Thank you very much. I listened to someone who talked about Councilor Gongloe and his district in Nima. First of all, the person, it's not true that Councilor Gongloe has not done anything in his district. In fact, he has done more in his district. As time comes back, I don't want to dwell on that, so I don't want to eat my 1 minute and 30 seconds on that. But one time when I was signing up for the Gongloe campaign, I called my wife and I said, look, for the first time as a journalist, I'm going to come out and support somebody. She said, who? I said, Councilor Gongloe. She said, oh, okay. So you going to join them to do campaign, or you just going to be the media man? So I said, well, I will be going to Liberia to campaign. So I planned 2 different trips for Liberia, which we will be funding for ourselves and we contributing to the campaign. So I asked her, I said, so all the 15 counties, where do you think, if we were to campaign more, where do you think we'll get more opposition? My wife is from Nema. My wife is a Gio woman. And she said, if you people want to win the election, pay more attention in Nema, because it is the Nema people who will destroy Gongloe first. So when I hear certain figures in Nema speaking evil of Councilor Gongloe, it just reminds me of what my wife said. We don't expect everybody in Nema to support Councilor Gongloe. We expect some people will disagree. Even if I want to contest for senator of Grand Jeddah County or representative, somebody will be in Grand Jeddah that will oppose me. So we are not surprised. What I want to say here today, if the Liberian people want George Weah to be one-term president, they should support Councilor Gongloe. He is the only opposition president that have the pathway. If Joseph Barka goes, the whole opposition will divide. Councilor Alexander Cummings will not support Joseph Barka, and George Weah will be president. If Alexander Cummings goes with one-on-one with George Weah, Joseph Barka will not support Cummings, and it will be George Weah emerging as president. And only person who they both of them can unite behind, without clamor, without any animosity, without thinking, with the belief that there will be integrity government, it is Councilor Gongloe. They both of them have no issues. They are not at anybody's throat. And I think if you want to vote that day, if you are supposed to vote for Joseph Barka or Alexander Cummings, change it and vote for Councilor Gongloe. He is the only man that can boot George Weah out, because he will not divide the opposition. He will unite the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. J. Randy.
Yes, let me say a big thank you to all your panelists here. And it was a very good interaction I have here today with you guys. But I would like to say this to everyone listening to me today. This is the face you're going to remember for the rest of your life. I'm not going to cave into any politician. I'm not going to cave into any political party, because I believe in my patriotism for all Liberians. I will always challenge any political leader. Opposition partisan operate on three guiding principles: emotion, anger, and rejection. When you challenge them, they become very defensive. When you praise them, they clap for you. I'm not in that game. I'm only looking out for the Liberian people, because I believe in equality, transparency, and
equity.
Transparency. That's
I love this version of my man Davo.
That's what I'm guided by. That's what I'm guided by. So y'all get used to me, because there's either for or against in Liberia, but I'm the referee on the field. I don't support Barcelona. I don't support Real Madrid. I ref the game. Until you understand that value, you will always have problem with me.
You sure you referee?
Lastly, all right, in 1989 there was a I got my 1 minute 30 seconds now, so you please give me a chance.
Yeah, please.
In 1989 there was a Liberia marketing agriculture study that was done. It kind of erased everything that Joseph Barka did. So Joseph Barka supporter come here to want to justify he has been defeated, he will be defeated. Ed is coming, is only running to make himself popular. It's only for 2029 that he will be running. Mr. Weah, he continued to stay on the trajectory, he will do it best. Last but not the least, I got something here for my man Kroma, and I want you to take a good look at this.
That was that.
Look here, you see yourself here?
That was that.
A picture of Kroma playing.
You can't play football.
That's an old picture. We play football.
Right, I tell you how consistent I am with record keeping. That's why I want to put to you.
Yeah, but you're not consistent with the record.
Record keeping.
All right. So
just because you keep Kroma picture, so you consistent with record keeping.
Yes. No. You see, you will not judge tell something. So lastly, guys, like I said, I operate on three principles. Until you understand that principle: transparency, equality, and equity. If you don't have those things in your organization, you will always have problem with me.
Thank you. You're talking about keeping Kroma picture. I kept JMB picture. So who moved?
No, you that one that internet picture. I'm talking about Tony Real. That internet picture. Let's see a real here. All right, yeah, the day behind you. You see the yeah.
What year was that? I read some picture, man.
Let me go to Prince.
Yes, sir.
The 2009
Thank
picture is
you.
loving it.
I'm listening to all of our panelists here, and there is something that is happening that fellow Liberians we have to look at very keenly. The lack of courage in most of the young people in the opposition to project themselves instead of projecting people that already one foot inside. And the day we meet again, your song, y'all know I can sing it. Until we meet, the day we meet. When you hear people singing that song, and you see that you made mention of death, and you see here, I call no death. That song I sang. So to see my brother Nyonton, someone who I so admire and hail,
Are you trying to buy the man
running
sympathy?
behind, no, it's not bad. To be running behind someone like Barka. Look, I will better jump behind my
Man, you
brother
don't talk a tune on the
Yonton.
CDC base, oh.
I will jump behind my brother Yonton and support him if he was to project himself, or the people are going to look at him and say, "Look, my man, are you the one who carrying?" I was going to jump behind my brother Yonton. I will support him.
Go back home.
I will support him.
Man.
The man's a trace edition. Your guys are trace edition will bring back. Don't worry.
Definitely. I'm listening to everybody here. Look, you see, I want to thank President George Weah for giving us such an opportunity. What we are enjoying today is the level of democratic sanctity in the expression of people on, agreement or disagreement that is projected by President Weah that have given us this opportunity. What we are seeing here, no, you can't tell me that my time finished. What we are seeing here, few years ago, we did not see it. Few years ago, it was when you disagree, you go to Butuo or you go to Jenewene Forest or so. But today, under President Weah presidency, we are giving the opportunity to come here, sit down, and discuss issues and disagree to agree. This is a level that we are seeing. Fellow Liberian, do you want to throw development away for retrogression? The man who bailing you road, the man who bailing you hospital, the man who gave your children free education, the man who turn around as we speak taking Zoko from in the street. You want lead a man here to give your country to somebody we're struggling with behavior up to now. Own behavior, you can't define it. That man can define behavior. As we speak to you, our own uncle, my own uncle, Joseph Yama Barka, is still struggling with health condition. According to information that you're in the paper, something happened a few days, but I don't want to say it. But let's remember him in our prayer. Let's remember him in our prayer.
Thank you. Yonton,
Prince, but the health issue that Prince raised very serious.
No. That's. Let me just have my time in peace. Let me have my time in peace.
I'm muting them. Yonton, go ahead. Prince,
I'm running for representative. I hope that you can support me. I already marvel over the fact that you admire me, and I'm humbled by that, and I'm looking forward to your support. The second thing is that when we have a situation of relative peace into this Liberia, I don't think it's as the result of George Weah. George Weah was sport ambassador. And peace ambassador, and he only brought Samuel Ito and the rest of the folks to Monrovia, right? No traditional pathway to reconciliation was done on his reign. So it is due to the fact that Liberians are tired of war, due to the fact that we have more intellectuals in our time than we had in the 1970s and 80s, and people are willing to have the conversation, to be part of the conversation. That's why, we even as we disagree, I still watch your platform. It's because I can take something from there to debate it, right? So we have more young people in our time that's willing to debate the issue and talk about how we can move our country in a fundamental new direction. You talk about Zogo, right? When George Weah addressed the United Nations just quite recently, he talked about this 1 million that his government has put aside. Even with the UNDP support and everything that came, the government's pledge to that program has not even been forthcoming, even though it's in the budget. But the president promise, again, is a dead promise. So we're looking forward to the government of Liberia actually standing its ground, being serious about addressing the issue of our disadvantaged youth. We all seen what's happening. You did mention about the government seizing drugs So there is a serious crisis as it relates to drugs and substance abuse in our country. We want to see more of that effort being done. Just lastly, Dennis, I will have to address this ADA issue because it's very important.
You're going over 2 minutes. This is your closing.
10 more seconds. I know.
Closing comment. We're not going to we're not going to restart the debate.
Just a second, right? But it's important. It's important,
right? Please just end your.
So the ADA project was
we'll come back and do a debate with just two of you because there's a lot on the plate of JNB that you really need to clarify. I have questions too.
Okay.
Because JNB has refused to come here, so we'll use you to ask. Right? Let me go to Leo to get his closing comment.
Yeah, so thank God at last, so I can go 10 minutes. Nothing small.
1 minute 30 seconds.
I beg you, 1 minute 30 seconds. I will respond to certain things quickly that I believe has been the greatest disservice, in my opinion, among us Liberians when we talk about politics. My brother Prince Sheriff made reference to something that is no joking matter, and I want to take it on because this is the same falsehood that people spread about President Weah in the 90s, about saying President Weah was gay, he was this. People spread that falsehood in Liberia, I remember, and everybody hacked onto it. Today, the same people passing around and saying Cummins that gay, Cummins that this. Cummins at least have evidence that he been married to one woman for almost 40 years, that he got 2 grown-up children. And there should be we should not be tolerating when we live in this place where all of us accept the equality of people in this place because this is the culture when we go to work. In our workplaces, we respect it. And then when we come in our politics, the hypocrisy of us using it as a way to blackmail people until anybody can show any concrete conversation about this, I think it's a disservice, it's dishonest, and we should dispel it as the falsehood that it is. Because today, the same way with President Weah, few years or few decades ago, and people peddle it around here, today people are saying about Mr. Cummins. I don't think talk show hosts should be tolerating these type of statements on this platform because it is false.
He said it about himself.
Please, he never said that. There is nowhere that he said that. Let's not peddle. He has come over and over to provide clarification for this. This is no joking matter because people said this about President George Weah as well. They peddle it around the place, but because today everybody who support him, they feel that it's okay on the other side. For me, it doesn't matter who is being done to. It is unacceptable. Let me say this now and close.
Thank you.
First of all, Mr. Jai, just close. I wanted to just clarify that piece. First of all, it is dishonesty to all of us when successive
I don't know why you are so definitive that Cummins is not.
Cummins is not because
his spokesperson. You don't know his lifestyle.
I am a Liberian. You spoke everything. Are you Councilor Gongloe spokesperson? You the official spokesperson. Don't disrupt me, man. First of all, I don't know why successive governments in Liberia have presided over a corrupt constitution that is impossible to be enforced. That is where the root cause of our problem is. The government of Liberia, previous and this current government, has blatantly violated our constitution by holding by-elections outside of the time the constitution says, by holding census outside of the time the constitution says, by making laws to violate the certain constitution, by picking and choosing in the constitution what's convenient and what's not. We sit there and expect a good governing process to come out of a bad document. Lastly,
Thank you. Last Leo, you're going 10 minutes.
No, I will finish, Mr. Jad.
Leo, we gotta leave it there.
30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, please. I beg all young Liberians, instead of us dividing ourselves against which political party we support, it's time we tell all these political parties they are abject failures and vote independently in Liberia.
That's why we represent none of them deserve our vote.
Thank you.
There you go. You can share that.
10 minutes, Mr. God, 10 minutes. 10 seconds.
We want to end the show with
15 seconds, please. Just 15 seconds.
Have a good night, guys, and God bless.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our